Oh, well, that worked pretty well, didn't it? Hello, I'm Richard, and welcome to my channel over and over and over again. I've got my video sorted out this week, so I'm quite happy about that, which is good. Obviously, it's the fourth edition of the Positive Arsenal podcast, the fourth one already, which is good. As you can see, I've got some guests with me tonight. Just before we introduce them, just if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so, because this is the first time it's actually going out on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So if you're watching on either of those two, please come across and subscribe. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up as well. And I say, if you've got any comments as well about anything as we go along, just drop them in the box. That'll be great. Right, okay. So first of all, then joining me tonight, we've got Melvin again. Back again. You've been on before, haven't you? Are you all right?
Yeah. Thanks. Great. I really enjoy coming on this channel. Lovely. Thanks very much.
Nice. It's a pleasure to have you on. And of course, we've got our regular, well, he seems to be regular at the moment, Andrew, back again as well.
Yeah, yeah. Seems like I'm your co-host. Yeah.
You're here so often, you're as often as me.
It's great to be on again. Thank you ever so much for having me.
And we've got a newcomer to this channel. Obviously, he's not a newcomer to us. It's Mike, of course, who usually is asking us questions that we can't answer. But it's good to be able to actually have a little chat about Arsenal instead for a change.
Yeah, thanks very much, Richard. I appreciate you inviting me on, sir.
No problem at all. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. So I say what we're going to start with really is obviously we're back in Premier League action this weekend after the international break, which I know was quite annoying for everybody. And it's not the easiest game to come back to, is it? Manchester City away, not a ground that we've done particularly well on over recent years. Understandably so when you look at how much difference there's been in the teams, I guess. Obviously, it's important, I think, an important game for us. And, of course, as well, the possibility of a certain new player might be playing, which is even more exciting. So, Melvin, I'll start with you. What's your kind of thoughts going into the game on Saturday? How do you feel it might go for us?
Well, I'm very, like I said before we started, I'm very excited now, which hasn't been the stat the last few years. I'm excited, looking forward to the game. Really looking forward to it. Not just because of the international break. Every week I'm looking forward to the game, break or no break. So, I think I'm quite confident. I think we could do okay. But can't be worse than we've been doing the last few years up there. So I think that we will see a vast improvement. And with the team, it's the team he would probably pick, not me. So his team will obviously be better. But I'll probably be going with something like Leno, obviously, in goal, holding Louise and Gabriel, Bellerin and AMN left wing back, because obviously Tierney can't play because he plays for Arsenal. We won't let him play. I think any other club would have someone playing, wouldn't they? Anyway, trying on with that one. I'd like to see him play. I don't think he'll play Partey straight away. I don't think he will. Oh, okay. I don't think he will. But he'll stay with Xhaka and Ceballos in the middle, and the front three. I think it'll probably be obviously Aubameyang, probably Laka up front with on the right. He might go Pepe. Yeah, I think he'll probably go Pepe. Yeah, I was thinking of Saka actually, because they do to have a little bit. I'd probably Saka actually, because a bit more control on the wings. So to help out defensively. Yes, Saka on the right. Though it's not his position, I think he will play in there.
Well, he's played there a couple of times, hasn't he? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's got such good, the way he receives the ball. He's not, though he's one-footed, it doesn't make a big difference to him because he's so confident the way he receives the ball. He doesn't have to be in like one position. And also he does use his right foot from time to time. Yeah. It's not like some of our other one-footed players that only use it to stand on. He actually uses the other leg. So, no, I think they can play that. And I think we'd get a draw. I really do. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw.
Well, I'm sure we'd all take that now, I would have thought. But what about yourself, Andrew? What do you think about the obviously the game and the lineup we might do? Do you think Partey might start?
I hope so. I really do. I really do hope he plays, and I think he might play. I think he might surprise everyone and surprise Pep as well. I think he might actually go for it. The way to beat them, as you know, everyone's shown lately, is to just get them in a running race at the back. So I think he might go with pace up front, and I'm wondering whether he might just surprise everyone and go with a 4-3-3 tomorrow at the weekend. Sorry. I last heard and I saw on Twitter that it's not definite that Tierney ain't playing.
No, it's not definite yet. No, they're still in negotiations with all the authorities by the time of it, and they haven't had this final decision yet. I think it's going to be tomorrow when they'll definitely no. I mean, if he's fit, I think that's going to be a massive, or not fit, but if he's able to play, it's going to be a massive bonus, isn't it? Because I think he's
absolutely
been a massive player for us, hasn't he?
I don't think they've got a leg to stand on stopping him playing.
No, I don't see how they
he's
can.
He's not in Scotland anymore. He's in England and he's tested negative several times. So
yeah, no, I don't know.
I
don't
see what the issue is.
No, I don't know.
I'm going to go on the proviso that he is playing, because I would have obviously Leno in goal, but I'd have him at the left back, obviously Bellerin right back, and Gabriel at the left centre half, and it's a tough one. Probably Louise, but I would personally, I'd go for Gabriel and Holding, or if he's actually fit, I may even go for Chambers and Gabriel. Personally, I think that might be quite a good pairing in the interim. But I'd have Xhaka on the left-hand side of a midfield three. Well, this is not... I wouldn't actually. I would have Saka on the left of a midfield three, but I think if he was doing it, he'd have Xhaka, then Ceballos pushing forward a bit more than he normally does, Partey on the right of the midfield three, and then up front, I would have Aubameyang down the middle, Pepe on the right, and probably... Yeah, no, it's tough one. No, Aubameyang on the left, Lacazette down the middle, Pepe on the right. That's what I'd probably go for personally, and definitely use the pace of Pepe and Aubameyang to get in behind them and get them into a running race.
Well, yeah. I mean, what about in terms of the result? What do you think the result might be? I know it's difficult to know until we see the team, I suppose, but
I'm positive, really positive about it. I think we're going to do them. I think we'll do them 2-1, 2-0. I'll probably go for 2-0. I think we're going to... thank you very much, Jonathan.
I was going to say, Jonathan's a fan. Andrew, that was a good show, the Bernard Butler one, actually. That was brilliant, that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that show, yeah. We had a good one yesterday, actually. Really interesting chat about that, the Premier League situation at the moment, which is really interesting. But, I'm regarding the result, I look at Pep at the moment, and I mean, this is going back to the semi-final, and I've mentioned this a few times, but he looks like a broken man on the semi-final. And you just look at his face and look into his eyes; he just looks like he's finished at the moment.
It was nice actually today. Did you hear Arteta's interview? He sort of said he was asked about whether he thinks Pep's going to sign a new contract at City, and he said obviously he didn't know, but he did say that he just wants him to be happy. And I thought that was a really nice thing to say, because obviously they're good mates, aren't they? And I thought that was really nice of Arteta actually, to say he wants him to be happy. I do think if he wants to be happy, he needs to get away from Manchester City quite sharpish, but we'll see.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I haven't seen the anything yet. I've just got in from work just before we started here, so I'll have to watch that when we finished it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I say it's nice that he's, they're still mates, obviously, but hopefully on Saturday they'll put that aside like they did in the FA Cup game, and let battle commence, as it were. I mean, what about yourself, Mark? What are you thinking about the game on Saturday? What team do you think you would go with if you was Arteta?
Wow. If it was me, I would do something similar to what Andrew said, a 4-3-3. I would surprise Pep. I think he will start Thomas Partey. Looking at his news conferences, he doesn't ever give anything away specifically. But then if you look back at his news conferences after games, there's some very subtle clues. And I'm trying to remember the last one, but he was asked if a certain player was going to play or not. And I think it was talking about William Saliba, and he gave us a clue. And then, of course, a few weeks later, we find out Saliba's not even involved, and you look back at the news conference and you see him almost say that. So I watched the news conference today, and he only gave me the impression that he's going to play him. And the thing,
that's what I thought,
the thing with me is he said that Thomas Partey was ready to play, and I think it's quite simple. I think he's probably put it to Thomas Partey and said, "What do you think? I would like to play you. What do you think?" Because it's not easy to just chuck him in against Manchester City away. And from Thomas Partey's point of view, I would say that people are saying he's never played in the Premier League. Well, he has played against these teams in the Champions League, and he's played in England. He's done it quite a few times. So I don't think he's quite as fresh as, or this is as new to him as people are making out. So So I think that they're going to put him in, and I also think that the people who think he's going to play defensive midfield, I don't think that's going to happen. It may happen once in a while, but I think that the reason that he signed for Arsenal, beyond any other reason, is the frustration at Atletico Madrid playing for arguably a more high-profile team, is that he's been kept in a cage. And he's been played in a very tight structure, played as a defensive midfielder, given a certain role. And you watch him for Ghana, Richard, and I watched him for Ghana twice this week. It was kind of painful watching that, but I watched him, and he plays as a box-to-box midfielder, almost as a number 10 sometimes. And they just let him have at it. And he is the most exciting player I've seen sign for Arsenal in I don't know how long. He has everything. And I knew that before I watched him play for Ghana, but the guy can break lines on the dribble. He can pass like no other. He can anticipate. He can destroy. He can do the whole thing. So I think that it's not too big of a risk to play him, and I think he'll play. So to the lineup, I would go with Leno, Bellerin, who's been playing well recently. If Tierney can play, of course, Tierney at left back in a 4. If not, then that changes everything. And then I played Luiz and Gabriel. The midfield might be interesting to many people, but I think that we're going to see this in time, which is Ainsley Maitland-Niles playing as the central left midfielder. Of course, he's arguably been playing that anyway when he plays as the left wing back. If you actually watch the game, we all watch the game, he's spending most of his time at central left midfield as far as positionally on the field. He's always wanted to play there. I think they've been waiting for this moment to unleash him. And I'm not sure if it'll happen on Saturday, but I hope it does. I'd play Maitland-Niles on the left, Thomas Partey on the right, and let them go box to box. And like Andrew says, I think he's going to surprise him. And I played Dani Ceballos as the defensive midfielder. And if you watch him recently, he's been playing that role more as a 2, but he looks very comfortable being the ball carrier, and he's also vastly improved his defensive game beyond where Granit Xhaka is. Up front, I'd play Saka on the left. Give us some. You've got to have width on one side, and then I'd bring Pepe in. And I bring Pepe in because Pepe needs to play for Arsenal like Mohamed Salah plays for Liverpool, and play inside as an inside forward, get close to the goal to get those assists and shots off. And then I play Aubameyang as a centre forward. I'm not sure that that's going to happen tomorrow, but if you ask me to be the coach, then that's what I would do, Richard.
No. I mean, that's an interesting point, because I do think that the formation is going to evolve into something similar to that. I'm not sure how quickly that's going to happen. I don't think it's. Arteta said today he's only going to have one training session basically with the whole squad back from international duty. So I don't know whether or not he's got enough time to work on a new formation in time for this game, possibly, but we'll see. I mean, it's interesting what Jonathan says there about for City. Obviously, they've got technically a few injuries. I don't think De Bruyne is actually going to miss the game. I think De Bruyne will play. I've got to be honest. I know they've got no strikers fit by the sound of it. It's amazing at a club with that many resources hasn't got any extra strikers they can play. Someone from the academy or somewhere. But anyway, it's their choice. If they go with no strikers again, then that's playing into our hands maybe a little bit. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's good that Aguero's not playing because he generally scores against us, doesn't he? So that's one probably positive from that point of view. But I mean, I think Thomas Partey will start. I don't think it'll be a different system, though. I think he'll still go with a 3-4-3. And I think it'll be probably Xhaka and Partey in midfield. I think Ainsley will play on the left, Bellerin on the right, and then probably Aubameyang, Lacazette. And I think he might go with Willian just for his extra experience at these type of games, maybe ahead of maybe Pepe or Saka, possibly. I think the good thing about Arteta is we never know, do we? We can never read what he's going to do, because every time the team comes out before every game, there's always one or two little surprises in there, isn't it? You think, I wasn't expecting him to start, or I wasn't expecting them to start. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was one or two of them as well coming. So we'll see. But, and our resident Man City fan, Michael, says, he thinks he's fit to play. Yeah, I'll be amazed if De Bruyne, doesn't play. I'll be amazed if he doesn't, because I don't think he was really injured, was he? It was more of a precaution that he was pulled out of the Belgium squad. So I'll be surprised if he's not playing. Obviously, I hope he's not playing because it'll help us, but I think he probably will. Sort of moving away from that sort of game, I know Andrew did mention it a little bit earlier, just about this sort of project big picture that's obviously been in the news this week. It's been sort of rejected, hasn't it, by the clubs overall, but I think it's obvious that there's going to be some changes happening in the structure of football in this country, probably coming very soon. I think this is going to come back in a different form at some point quite soon. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys sort of thought of it all. I mean, obviously, I thought there was one or two sensible options in there, actually. And there was a few that maybe wasn't so workable, which is probably why it got rejected. I mean, what were your thoughts on it, Melvin, sort of overall about the restructuring of probably football in general, actually?
I thought what I read about it, I thought that the the idea is quite good on the face of it, but when you dig a bit deeper, you see that all of a sudden there's a cartel going to be formed, which will be no good for football at all. I think it will be restructured. I don't think, for example, the League Cup should be done away with. All right, we might not think it's that good. There's a lot of clubs in the lower divisions that earn a lot of money out of it for them. So it should be a League Cup just for league teams and not for the Premiership. Perhaps that might be something to be structured differently. And as for how all this one rule, one vote, one club's going to go out the window, it's going to be the top six have like 50% of the votes. That can't happen, as I say. It's a cartel. It's bad for the game. But the way things are, they're putting a gun to the Football League's head because a lot of clubs will go out of business. They're in a bad state to begin with. And now this COVID thing, they're in a right state. Yeah. So it might be, we'll own 90% of you, or we'll own nothing of you, but you won't even exist. So I think hopefully the Premier League will come back with a watered down version. That is to say, Football League, don't get rid of it, but let the lower clubs play among themselves. And also with the top six having most of the votes. No, that shouldn't happen. It should be, the vote should be equal, whoever you are in the division, and every club should have the same vote. If they do something like that, then because otherwise they can pass whatever they like. They can say, "We're no one's getting relegated anymore." You know what I mean? It's too much power, and football shouldn't be about power, though it is to a degree. It should be about the best team wins, and not the one with the most power wins.
Yeah, no, completely. I don't think anybody would disagree with it either. Really, would they? I mean, that should be how it is, but unfortunately, that's not how it seems to be evolving, does it? Over the last few years, unfortunately, and I know Arsenal maybe get tied into it, because we are technically one of the big six, aren't we? But I do feel as though we are run in a slightly different way for some of the other bigger clubs. But anyway, I mean, what about yourself, Andrew? What you sort of made of all of this kind of project? Big picture and all that kind of stuff that's gone on.
Well, I agree with Melvin and pretty much everything he said. I think it's when you look through the proposals, I don't see what all the massive furore is about, really. We've got to do something with regards to helping the rest of the football pyramid. And yes, the Premier League are going to be giving away more of the money. But when you consider that it's going to be two teams less in the Premier League, the reduction should be sort of, taken into account, really. It's going to be shared between 18 teams instead of 20. So the clubs remaining in the Premier League aren't going to lose out too much. So, I don't really like the idea of the League Cup going. I don't like the idea of B teams going into the Football League either. But apart from that, I don't see what the massive issue is, personally. What I don't want more than anything is one of the European Super Leagues starting, because that'll be the end of football. And if this will placate all the top teams from doing that, at least for the time being, the next few years, then I'm all for it. And the last thing really that you've got to sort out is to just break away from Sky and BT and sort this out and have their own channel, like I've been going on about for ages. Set up a Netflix style channel whereby you can, as a fan, either pay one fee for a season ticket for your club only, or add a bit extra, so you've got the season ticket for the entire league that your team is in. Or thirdly, add a bit more extra on top again and have a season ticket for all divisions. That way you're opting in to provide funds for the football pyramid yourself as a fan as well.
Yeah.
Even if you don't watch it, you've got the option of watching some games in the lower leagues and also helping them out at the same time. And you imagine if it's a online streaming service like Netflix, and you've got people all over the globe doing that, then the lower league clubs are going to make so much more money than they do now. I mean, at the moment, I think League One and League Two, as a whole, get about £1 million between all of them. There's absolutely no way on earth that they won't make tons more than that if they open it up to fans to actually subscribe directly all across the world. Even Stockport County, I bet, have got like fans, spread across the globe. And I bet they wish they could. I bet they wish they could watch all the home and away games. So I think it just makes so much sense. I don't understand why they're not doing it sooner. And I understand that in March the rights are up for negotiation again. So I really wonder whether it just won't go to a bidding rights, and they'll actually jump and go for it. And I hope they do.
Yeah.
Sky can't afford that to happen, though, can they? Sky can't.
No, of course they can. Well, Sky can't, but Sky can't. But they're asking still ask for money back after everyone putting themselves in danger last season to finish the league, which they did, and we finished it really, really well. And they still want money back because it wasn't the product they paid for. I mean, get out of here. I mean, God's sake, you've got to get...
They're making enemies at the wrong time, aren't they, Andrew? Really?
Absolute ridiculous decision. And, I mean, that's just shooting themselves in the foot, and they deserve everything they get.
Yeah, no. I mean, I agree. I mean, a lot of people seem to be against the Big Six getting extra voting rights, which I think we'd all agree with, even though technically we are one of the Big Six, but I wouldn't want it to be like that. It needs to be more spread out across football in general, because the top six aren't the only clubs that matter in football, are they? And I'm confident enough in my club, our club, that we can survive and be successful regardless of how it's reorganised. Maybe other clubs haven't got that confidence in their own stability. I mean, Mike, what do you think about it? I'm quite interested to know what you think about all this, actually.
Yeah, I think that first of all, I loved what Melvin and Andrew said. There's you got a great panel here, Richard. So kudos, man. There's just fascinating listening to them talk about this. And so I've got some of the same thoughts, some of the different thoughts that I have. I actually think that Rick Parry, who I think has been the main guy thrust behind this, I've got a feeling that there might be more to this than meets the eye, and that he knew, or these people who've organised this knew, and I think it's more than Liverpool and Manchester United, by the way. I think that they knew that the only way to get people to the table, to get all the Premier League to the table, was to do what they did. Because I'm trying to be a bit of a detective here again, Richard. But did you know that every one of the 20 clubs voted against the proposal, even the people that brought it? So that makes me think that the motive, weird. The motive was to get people to the table.
It was maybe 16, 17 voted against it.
Yeah. Well, I think the motive was to get everybody to the table. So they've gone and put a proposal down that they knew would not be accepted. And so they have an alternative plan, which is now being worked on. But they had to do that in order to get everyone to the table. But my personal thoughts on what they have thrown forward so far, Richard, I think that the League Cup being scrapped, I would not do that. I'll tell you what I would do. I'd take away the European place from that, because for clubs like, we're selfish. So from Arsenal's point of view, and I'm trying to be unselfish here, if you take away the League Cup, then that's one less competition that you have to offer to your squad players. So then all of a sudden, the standard of squads that top teams can have will drop, because you can't play them all in the Premier League. So I like the Europa League. Exactly. I like the League Cup, but I would take away the European spot, Richard, because if you take away the European spot, then coaches like Arteta and Klopp and these guys would not be tempted to try to win it. Because I think that's what's going on, because there's a European place. If you take that away, then maybe they'll play the kids, and I think everyone would be cool. We all know we're going to watch the kids. That's what it's for anyway. I like Andrew said, I like some of the proposals. I like 18 teams in the Premier League. I think that would allow us to have a winter break. Don't put the winter break at Christmas. Everyone loves British football because of maybe less games at Christmas, but don't take the winter break away. Have the winter break after, in the new year, mid-January, where it gets colder as well for the players. I I think the Community Shield is a bunch of nonsense. I've always thought that. I don't understand having a game between last season's winners of two competitions when they've both got transfers and new players, and it's not actually the teams that just won the league and the FA Cup. I think that's a nonsense anyway. I do think that what we might find, though, is that there'll be they might get rid of the third division, second division, and they'll have, instead of 72 clubs plus Premier League, they'll have I forget how many's in Division 2 now, but they'll get rid of one of those, and let's say there's 22 teams, so they'll have 50 professional. Have I got that right? Yeah, 50 professional teams plus the Premier League, so that when the money does get distributed, you can actually help those teams who are quote unquote professional, because you're not spreading it around 72 teams. So I think we unfortunately might have to take that Division 2 and make it, like the conference, and make them semi-pro in order for the others to survive. And then the last
maybe regionalise it as well, perhaps.
Yeah, well, there's that too. There's there's so many pieces to it. And then the last thing that I've always thought and never been given an opportunity to talk about is the Super League. Everyone says that this is a step to that. I don't understand why the Premier League is interested in the Super League, because the Premier League has the Super League already. They have the most watched. I mean, I live in the USA. We have unlimited coverage of Premier League. I get more coverage than you guys do. I know that's upsetting to hear, but the coverage here is unbelievable. The people that watch it is endless, and this is just the United States. I'm not talking about India and China and Africa, where it's even more popular. I don't know why the Premier League are incentivized to go to a Super League, because they have almost everything going for them anyway. I'll stop there. That's too much. Sorry.
No. Mark says, just ask you a question about restructuring it. I mean, obviously he's meant 18. I guess it's just relegating more teams, isn't it? Maybe over 2 seasons or something. Maybe relegating extra teams. Is that what you'd be thinking?
Yeah, I don't know if you do it. Maybe it's brutal to do it in one season and send 2 more teams down. Maybe that's okay.
2 seasons. Yeah,
maybe do that over 2 seasons or what have you. But yeah, you have an 18-team league. I think everyone's been wanting that for a long time. But there is a criticism of British football. It's just too much of it. So the Bundesliga has 18 teams. It's a better structure. And let's do 18 teams.
No, I mean, I would like to see that actually, but how we do it is going to be difficult because, like you said, we can't relegate 5 teams in one season. I don't think that would be the right way to do it. It would be difficult to do. I mean, Michael seems to disagree with you, wanting to make the pro club semi-pro, but maybe needs must. Maybe that's what it's going to be about, isn't it?
It's not what I would do, though, Richard. Ideally, you would not do that. Let me just put that straight.
Yeah,
that's not an idea. I mean, it's not what you have. It's not what you want to do. It's not what I want to do. But if there's this much money and this much money fits this many clubs, not this many clubs, then you got to do what you got to do. And it's unfortunate that you might have to go to 3 professional leagues so you can actually keep everybody solvent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I get that point definitely. I mean, it is unfortunately we're in a situation now financially when a lot of the sort of smaller teams down in the lower divisions can't survive anyway, as they are. And if we can try to make them survive, if it means them having to go semi-pro, then maybe that might have to be done at some point anyway, just because they can't survive as things stand, not at this moment in time anyway, not unless we can restructure it in a way to help them, which doesn't seem to be. Well, it's not easy to sort out, is it? But having listened to you guys, it makes me feel that maybe they should get more fans involved in these decisions as opposed to just the executives at clubs who literally only care about themselves and the money they're going to make out of it.
Yeah, we line, isn't it?
Interest other than we want to see the best for football because we're football fans ultimately, and we want to see what's best for the game. And unfortunately, the people running football are more interested in how much money is at stake for them, I think. And it would be definitely a good idea to have more fan involvement. Yeah, go on, Andrew.
I just want to bring up one other thing as well, because it makes sense to do it now rather than at the end of the show when we've sort of any other business part. What I'm concerned about is that the owners of these the biggest clubs have seen during this period that we're under now that their clubs can quite easily survive and actually thrive without any fans. Now, these owners aren't, dyed-in-the-wall fans. They're not locals. They don't care. So what they're seeing at the moment is that their clubs are absolutely fine without fans coming into the ground. And this is what I'm concerned about. So, say for argument's sake, they're losing, I don't know, say £1 million, whatever, £1 million per game. I'm sure that the savings that they are making by not having to get the police, the ground police, not having to get all the people in to sell all the food, not having to get all the stewarding, not having to get the ambulance services and everything, which you've all got to pay for. I'm sure that the losses are minimal because they haven't got to outlay any of that money. Also, fans are a problem to clubs. At the end of the day, yes, they've got no atmosphere in the grounds.
Our fans are a problem sometimes.
Well, this is the thing is, you say that it's that we are at the end of the day we are a problem because whether you like it or not, the owners of clubs don't see us as the lifeblood of the club. What they see us is a nuisance because just for something like the club being fined, for some racist abuse that some of the fans would come out with. That's a problem to the club. They don't worry about the racist abuse. They just say, "Oh God, we're going to have got a £2 million fine to pay or whatever." It's an issue. Getting the fans out of the way to solve all that, and you haven't got any traffic congestion around the stadium anymore. You haven't got to worry about all that sort of stuff. Fights breaking out. So they would be quite happy, I'm sure, to go onto this streaming service and make the money that way.
I'm sure some of the owners would. I'm sure some. I mean, Michael makes a point there about prefer no fans. I mean, coming from a Man City fan, that's quite funny actually. Seeing as after their games are played with no fans when they were allowed in.
It will never happen.
Basically,
it won't ever happen. Of course, I mean, fans are important.
When you've got the owners of the clubs are in a different country altogether, they don't care.
Yeah,
this is what I'm concerned about.
Yeah,
if you're a supporter, like Man City support, for example, we've got all the money in the world, and they go down that route. We don't need home fans. Of course, they need home fans. Number one, for home fans, bring in more revenue than it costs you for the police and everything else. That's number one. Number two, you want the fans to get behind the club because after a while, the Man City fans, if they can't go to the game and everyone else is going to their home game, they're going to get fed up with it because not every club is as rich as Manchester City, and it's just madness to think we're not going to have. In fact, we don't. Of course, we want fans. There's nothing better than watching your team score a goal and you're there and you're cheering.
I 100% agree with you. Don't think this is my opinion. I don't want this. I just said it's a worry of mine. That they're going
to be worried about it, Andrew. I really don't.
I can understand some owners are probably. I don't care if fans are in the ground or not. I can see that they might not do so for the reasons that you give, but I think everybody understands in football that fans in the ground is massively important, not only to the big clubs but also to the smaller clubs as well. Because even more so for the smaller clubs, that's what keeps them afloat, isn't it? Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Man United could survive from the fans all over the world that would pay to watch the streaming of the games. They would, in their thousands and millions, would pay. So Arsenal would be fine, and the big clubs would. But it's the smaller clubs without fans have got no chance, absolutely no chance whatsoever.
No, of course not.
And
what rubbish have we actually mentioned about Man City today, by the way?
I think that was me about the fans, them playing in front of no fans, but that was a joke.
Oh, right. Okay. Just a joke. You can't take back.
I just think that with the smaller clubs,
fan as well, yeah.
With the smaller clubs, they need the money because they don't get the television rights as the bigger club. But also, sometimes in certain grounds, the small clubs, it's like a goal start. They're so close to the pitch. The smaller grounds, they intimidate the opposition. Good luck to them as well, and you've got half a chance if you're not as big as the other club. You've got half a chance because your fans are behind you. And really, we're speaking enough times.
Look at Sheffield United. Sheffield United's results went off a cliff when after lockdown, didn't they?
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, DWT's got a point. Obviously, most fans in the world watch the games on telly because the stadiums can't fit them all in. As much as people would probably like to be there, most people have no choice other than to watch them on TV, don't they, throughout the world. And it's, so it is needed. We kind of need both, don't we? We need fans in the stadium and we need fans
we do.
an audience on TV, and it's difficult to I suppose to get that balance right in terms of the finances and where it all goes, I guess. And this is what they need to sort of sort out, don't they, going forward, really, and make sure that the money that comes in from TV is put out to the right people that really need it, and give a lot more to the smaller clubs to help them, because they don't really benefit from Sky, do they, very much, League Two and stuff like that. They don't. And
no, say about £1 million per for the league to share.
Yeah.
And Michael Salt, can we just say, we're not saying that we don't need fans or anything like that. I've just raised a concern that owners of clubs that are in different countries across the world, and not talking about Man City specifically at all, that they are seeing that their clubs are quite happily running along, still making lots of money without us fans. We're not saying that that's what we want or need or anything like that at all. We're completely against that. So just wanted to point that out, Michael.
What I'm quite surprised about, over not just this year, but going back 10, 20 years, there hasn't been more bigger clubs have feeder clubs, do a little bit of a deal with smaller clubs that are in not one division away, but two or three divisions away. They say, right, we're going to back you a little bit. We're not going to pay for all your players, obviously. We'll help you out, but we want first choice in any of your players that come through the ranks. And if the money we want to give you is not good enough, then you can go. You can sell your player to whoever you want to. But we do, don't
we? We do.
That would work both ways.
We've got something with Boreham Wood, haven't we? Because the women play there, and I think we've got some sort of relationship with them, haven't we? I don't know how it works financially.
But
we pay £1 million a year, don't we?
Do you?
Yeah.
To first team.
We pay them £1 million a year.
That's just money, yeah. It's
good.
Use the ground, well. That's another thing, yeah. But I'm talking about a larger scale throughout the country.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what I mean. You see, this is what I said before. I do think that fans would have a lot more understanding of how the football works, as opposed to just the business, which is all that seems to get sort of mentioned, really. And Mike keeps dropping in and out. I think his signals must keep dropping out. Obviously, Jonathan there talking about the merchandise of TV rights. Yeah. But I mean, I don't think that's going to be the way it will go. Actually, I think football will. I think there needs to be changes, but I don't think it's going to change dramatically. I think obviously fans might be coming back into the stadiums quite soon, hopefully, and we'll start to get things a little bit more back to how they were, perhaps. But I certainly feel as though this project big picture isn't going away. It's going to be something. I think what Mike says might be true actually about getting the idea on the table actually, and I think that could be. This is maybe the start of it, and they need to iron out a few more details, don't they, and make it right for everybody. But if it's the start of restructuring in a way that's going to be fairer for everybody, then I'm all in favour of it, because I don't really like the way football's gone over the last 10 years in particular, maybe even longer. So if we can get this sorted out now, maybe all this COVID stuff might help that, because they've almost had to restart a lot of things because of the fans not being there and what have you. So, we'll see what happens. But I definitely would be in favour of some sort of changes anyway, somewhere along the line. If we sort of move away from that now, otherwise we could be all night talking about this, because it is a big issue. I'm sure we'll talk about it again. The other thing I wanted to move on to, I know Mike's just dropped out again, is obviously Arsene Wenger released his book this week. I don't know whether you guys have read it at all yet. I've read bits of it. I've only got it yesterday, so I'm on chapter 4 now, which is good. But I don't know what you guys have made of it so far. I mean, have you got the book yet, Melvin? Have you had a look at it?
I haven't got the book, but if I do get it, I'll only read the first half of it.
Well, the first half, not even Arsenal.
I think the second half.
No, you don't even get to Arsenal then. I've literally got it's a 6 hour something audio book. Because I missed the delivery yesterday. It's being redelivered tomorrow. My book. I got the one of the signed copies, luckily from Waterstone, so that's being redelivered tomorrow. But I've got the audio book download as well. It's a 6 hour something long, and I've got about an hour and a half left. So I listened to nearly all of it today.
Oh, you have listened to some of it? I was told it was in French.
No. It's great though that he's reading it himself. It makes it so much better. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I've heard a clip of it. I thought. I mean, obviously, I've got the actual book. I've got it here. Arsene
Yeah,
Wenger. I bought it. But
yeah,
I mean,
can't wait for mine tomorrow.
I've heard bits of clips of it, obviously with Arsene Wenger actually reading it, which made me wish I'd maybe done that as well, because that'd be amazing to actually have him reading his book to you. That would
Really
be
good.
That would be quality. I've had to read it myself so far, but I'm enjoying it actually. It's good to get an insight into his early life, his childhood, and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, most of us perhaps wasn't really aware of exactly how he grew up and where he was and stuff. And it's been really interesting. Obviously, I haven't even got to the really good bit yet when he comes to Arsenal. He's just joined Monaco, where I'm at. So I've got to go through Monaco and obviously his spell in Japan as well first. But I'm really enjoying it actually, and I know he's going to get a lot of criticism for it, and I know people have been saying that he doesn't go into the details about some of the heavy defeats that we've had, you know, with the Man United games, all this kind of stuff, which I'm not really bothered about. We don't need to. He doesn't need to go into details about that. We know what happened. We saw it. Do you know what I mean? It's just more the insight I'm looking at, interested in his life, and it looks like he's very obsessed with football. Maybe in the end, that's what perhaps cost him a little bit, you know. His obsession with it all, and he threw everything into it, didn't he? Not only at Arsenal, but before that as well, he was the same. And maybe sometimes, you know, your obsessions can not always be make you think so clearly, maybe, and perhaps sometimes that might have been what happened to him a little bit in the end, I suppose. But we'll get on to that bit later on in the book, I suppose, when I get into it more. But I've enjoyed it so far. And I think it's good that he's brought it out now rather than maybe rushing it through, perhaps, you know, when he first left. I'm glad he's given it a couple of years for everybody to calm down a little bit, although there does seem to be, I've heard quite a lot of rubbish going on social media last week or so about Arsene Wenger, really, which is, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's going to be, alongside Sir Henry Norris and Herbert Chapman, he's probably the third most important person in the history of the club, actually. And that needs to be respected, whether or not we agree with how things ended and whether or not, whatever that is. I think history will show that in 10, 20, 30 years' time, his name will be mentioned alongside the most important people in the club's history. And I hope that he can actually finally get the respect he deserves for everything that he did, really. Have you seen the book yet, Mike? Have you read it yet?
No, I've listened.
Is it available in America yet?
Yeah. It's I've read all the quotes, and I've listened to about 2 or 3 interviews on the BBC. I was about to listen later today to the one he's just done with The Athletic with David Ornstein. That's probably interesting, but no, I haven't bought the book yet.
Yeah, okay. You're going to get it, are you? You're going to get it when it.
Have you managed to listen to the London Palladium interview he gave?
Yeah, I've watched that as well.
Very good interview.
Yeah.
That.
The most interesting thing so far actually hasn't come from the book. It's come from one of those interviews. It's that when we moved into the new stadium, we were put under like what you can call financial fair play by the bank.
Yeah.
And basically we weren't allowed to spend more than 50% of our annual income, complete income, on wages. And that was stipulated by the bank. And well before, you know, financial fair play was thought of and brought in to the Premier League. So that is the reason why, you know, we were so bad. It was the bank. Well,
yeah,
you know, we literally we went from selling 30-something players to having to sell our players in their prime, you know, 23, 24, 25.
I mean,
one of the things that I think Wenger's never been given credit for is, you know, he says, I mean, it's going to probably be in the book, but he was in that the thing he did at the Palladium. We were talking about it when he knew that 10 years after moving into the stadium, it was going to be difficult and that he wouldn't be able to have the same success on the pitch as he had previously. And unfortunately, the fan base couldn't accept that, or didn't accept that, or didn't want to accept it, and expected the team to stay at the same level, even despite the fact moving. I mean, what other club has built a stadium from scratch and maintained a level where they were before? Most of them ended up getting relegated, haven't they? Not many clubs have done that, and yet Arsene Wenger was able to stabilise us through that difficult time, keep us in the top 4 to bring the Champions League money in, which was so important. But it's almost like all that's dismissed because we wasn't invincible anymore, and we were losing 8-2 to Man United, and we were losing 6-0 to Chelsea or whatever else it might have been. And it seems like the overall picture's been forgotten about just by a few silly results, and the fact that he had to sell on them players. As Andrew said, he had no choice. We couldn't keep them. We just couldn't afford it. We had to sell them. And
yeah, but you're right, Richard. But just to play devil's advocate for a moment, it wasn't so much the 6-0, 6-2s and whatever, Liverpool 6-1s or whatever. It was the 2-1 away to Swansea when we're 1-0
Yeah, no, I
up,
agree. No,
controlling the game,
yeah.
and you know what's going to happen. You know we're going to get beat. And they hurt me as much as a 6-2, funnily enough.
Probably more, actually. Probably more.
Yeah, it could be more. You're right.
Yeah. No, that's true. But I mean, I think that happens to everybody. I don't think, I don't think it wasn't like these were happening all the time, were they? It seemed to be what had happened was, I think after 2006 Champions League final, I think Arsene Wenger wanted to win the Champions League so much. He said it the other day, didn't he? That would have been the perfect sort of end to that era of that team winning it that year. And when we didn't, I think he was so determined to try and win it that he almost threw away other competitions. As soon as we got knocked out of the Champions League, every year the season fell apart, didn't it, for 3 or 4 weeks afterwards, because he was so disappointed. And I think everybody was so disappointed at the club because of that, really. And maybe that didn't help really in where we could have maybe gone. But I do think he probably did the best he could have done in the circumstances. And I don't think anybody would have done any better.
Getting us in the top 4 as long as he did with the quality of players that he had at his disposal.
And the football we played as well. The football we played
unbelievable. Unbelievable. What would we give for that now? It's just that's amazing. Feat of management that he's got us to that stage. But he just had overstayed his he's overstayed the season too long, didn't he?
I think Michael's comment there is quite good, because it kind of, I think Arsene Wenger's got more respect from other clubs than he does from his own fans, actually, sometimes. And maybe that's because people outside haven't experienced it to the same degree, maybe, but we'll see. I mean, go on, Mike, you wanted to come in there.
Yeah. I want to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here. So my perspective of Arsene Wenger, much like everybody else, the first however many years, the first half of his reign, he was an absolute legend and still is in my eyes for what he's done, like you said, Richard, to transform the club. And he's responsible for so many positive things and much positive that's happening now. You can feed back to Arsene Wenger. For me, and I'm a coach, I've been coaching for 30 years, and the things changed for me around about halfway through his reign, where I had a United fan who's my best friend, and he was chipping away at me for years and years and years, and I would never accept what he told me. And he kept on saying to me, he says, because you're a coach, he said, Arsene Wenger was perfect for the team that he built, to his credit, when he came and he had the best team in Europe, best team in the league, the best team in Europe, and he was perfect for that scenario because he managed through his own on and off the pitch skills to bring a group of guys together that needed very little coaching. They were so good, and the team he chose was so well balanced that we won. I'm not saying in spite of him, because that's too dramatic. It's not the case. But we won because he was capable of doing that. When that changed, and when the league changed and football changed and it became tactical, it was about halfway through Wenger's reign. At that point, I'm not saying we should necessarily have got rid of Wenger, but eyes needed to be wide open there. Because Arsene Wenger, in my mind, as much of a legend as I thought he was and still think he is, has never, in my mind, been a tactical coach. And when football changed and became tactical, because it did, around about halfway through his reign, he struggled. And these results that you guys are talking about, and these disappointments, these were tactical games where he didn't have the best team on the field. His team was as good as, or maybe sometimes even better, but a tactical challenge was thrown out there on the field. And he was also not a sideline coach. He didn't want to help them during the game either, which always spoke to me about a little bit of lack of tactical understanding and game knowledge during the game. And I know that this doesn't speak to most Arsenal fans. They don't want to hear this. Just my opinion. But Arsene Wenger, probably for his own sake, needed to stop coaching Arsenal a while back when the game became that way, because I think he exposed himself when the game became tactical.
Also, I do agree.
He does touch on that in his book, actually, a little bit. He does. It's more of the psychology of it all, more perhaps than that was what his style of management was, rather than, and I agree, he probably wasn't a great tactical coach. I don't think he was. But he, like you said, he maybe got away with it up to a point, and then it became more difficult. But I do think that other circumstances were there as well at that time to make it more difficult for him. Go on, Melvin.
Can I also add?
Also,
Go ahead. Sorry.
just one thing. Sorry to interrupt. Just one thing. Not only was he not perhaps as good tactically as some of the other coaches that were coming along, at that time, Chelsea become big money bags. You had not just Man United to worry about to spend more then. Not only we had to spend much less because of the stadium, but all of a sudden Chelsea were come on the scene and they could just blow us out the water. And later on in life, then Man City came on the scene. So it wasn't just tactics. I think a few things went against him.
I would much rather watch a Wenger team playing football the way Wenger wanted it to be played than any tactical football at all. You know, I would have that any day of the week. I find the really tactical type of football so boring. I would go back to that. It was exhilarating that Wenger team in full flight. Exhilarating to watch. So exciting. It's unbelievable. And I would have that any day of the week. And the thing is, with the regards to not coaching on the sidelines, he had a firm belief that he shouldn't. He wanted his players to be intelligent enough to work things out for themselves on the pitch. And that was his firm belief. So that's why he didn't stand at the sidelines barking orders all the time.
Right.
But anyway, I totally get your point though, Michael. Mike, sorry. But I would have that exhilarating football any day over tactical football.
So would I, Andrew. And I totally agree with you. So would I. And that's even under Arteta. I love Arteta. The football is a little bit robotic and its passing patterns.
Yeah,
it's highly tactical. Yeah. But here's the little twist for me, is that Andrew's right. That football was more fun. It was more enjoyable. And would I like to watch it? For sure I would. But you don't control both teams on the field, though. And when football became tactical and the opposing coaches became more tactical, Wenger didn't respond to that because I don't think he had the tools to. Hence why Arsenal for a decade were wide open in the back. And he didn't ever respond to that. So you knew when Arsenal went one goal down on the counter-attack against a good team, it was 2, it was 3. And it was over and over and over again that, oh gosh, I've just advertised your channel there, Richard. Anyway, so I just feel that as much as the romance of loving his football is still in my heart, and I love him and I love football, when the opponent throws a different challenge at you, you have no choice. You have to adapt, otherwise you get run over. And I think that's why Arsenal just fell away and away and away and away, because he didn't adapt, because I don't think he was tactically capable of adapting. He needed a team that was ready to go, best team in the league, and he didn't have that team at the time, so he wasn't suited to Arsenal. And the other piece, and then I'll sign off, is he was given all these offers to manage other teams in other countries, and I'm not sure this has ever been mentioned a whole lot, but he never took any of those, and maybe he did stay because Arsenal is number one in his heart. I've never been entirely sure that the English press never ever asked tactical questions. No pundits ever asked tactical questions. No journalists ever asked tactical questions. And when I moved abroad, and I've moved abroad a few times, you go to other countries, all the people, the journalists, the press, the pundits, all want to ask tactical questions. And Arsene Wenger was never comfortable with that. And I think that was the number one reason. I know it goes against the romantic. That was the number one reason he actually stayed at Arsenal, was because he wouldn't have survived in the other countries, because the leagues are more tactical and you get questioned by the press every day on tactics. And that doesn't happen in the Premier League. Never has. And until they change it, it never will.
Another reason he never left Arsenal was a couple of reasons. Number one, like you say, he wouldn't get challenged. Number two, at Arsenal, he had a lot of fat on his body, didn't he? He could afford not to produce for a few years, and he wasn't going to get the sack. That's number two. And number three, he was also paid top dollar.
Yeah.
So I think it's not just the tactic side of it that he didn't
best paid manager in the world at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose he earned that though, didn't he, by the success that he brought?
Absolutely, yeah. But one thing I'll disagree with is that he did adapt, because he completely changed that team from when Vieira left. We went from big, powerful midfield players, ball carriers with power and pace, to a team of midgets just knocking the ball around. He completely changed the Spanish way of playing, the tiki-taka type of football, where we all got really frustrated, whereby we just weren't shooting. We were trying to pass the ball into the net, if you remember. And that was a complete turnaround, tactics-wise, from one to the other. After the team disbanded pretty much in 2006.
Yeah, that was more style of play, though, Andrew. I think, wasn't it? That was he chose a different style of play and a different type of player. I'm just talking about the tactics that the opponent throws at you during the game.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah,
disagree with that at all. Paul touches on it here as well. I mean, he does mention in his book about, he didn't coach to the opposition's weaknesses. And sometimes you have to, don't you? Because you have to do that. And maybe that's something, Wenger does say that in his book, that he never looks at the other team's weaknesses. He just tries to look to his own strengths, so his own team. And sometimes that maybe did cost us, And I think Jonathan touched on it as well. That game against Man City he's talking about, when we won 2-0 and we went there with a plan to win that game, which is something that Wenger very rarely did he? He didn't go to play to win a game. He went there to play the Arsenal way.
Well, that's what I loved about him. I
did as well. But it did cost us games, didn't it? It did cost us.
Absolutely. And it's wrong.
The reason when he made the change, the reason that tick-attack football didn't work was two reasons. Number one, we had a poor defence all that time, so we couldn't afford to lose the ball. And number two, we never had Messi up front. Apart from that, it was perfect.
I honestly, I think if we didn't move stadiums, if we'd have stopped at the beautiful Highbury, we would have just carried on winning.
Yeah,
we would.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
well,
because we would have constantly bought good replacements for players. We wouldn't have had to sell all our crown jewels and our captain every year.
Richard, I've got to run now. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. It was a pleasure seeing you.
Nice to speak to you again, Mike.
Good luck with your channel, Mike. Good luck later with your channel.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Mike. Yeah, take it easy, man.
Anytime.
See you soon.
Yeah, so Mike's off. He's doing another show on his own channel. So he's busy man. He's got to leave us, but it was great to have Mike on there, listening to his thoughts as well about it all. Very, very, very good points that he made as well. But so I mean, I just feel Wenger does deserve perhaps more respect than he's been getting, certainly from a large section of Arsenal fans, even now, nearly 2 years later when he's left. In fact, more than 2 years since he's left. It doesn't even seem that long ago, does it? But I don't know. For me, he'll always be number one. I think just because of what he brought really to Arsenal, things I never thought I'd ever see. We had success before with George Graham and whatnot, which was great, but he took it to another level for a long time, and for that reason alone, I will always have massive respect for Arsene Wenger. And I believe he's up there in the top 3 or 4 most important people in the whole history of Arsenal. And I think
definitely a Premier League, English football.
English football, but in particular in Arsenal's history, without Arsene Wenger, the club wouldn't. And he's right what he said the other day. I heard him at the podium when he said that from where Arsenal were as a club in 1996. To where they were in 2018 when he left, the club had evolved and moved so much further forward. I know football had changed, and it was inevitable that it would happen, but he was part of that process, and he was the main driving force behind the change and bringing the club where it is today. And any success that we now go on and have in the future is because of the success that Arsene Wenger brought us in the early days, the move to the stadium, and to put us in a position where we're able to go on, hopefully in the future, and have a lot more success. In the same way that maybe what Herbert Chapman brought us in the 30s, every success we've had since then has been because of that. And I think going forward now, any success that we have in the future will be down to what Arsene Wenger brought us initially. And I think everybody needs to just accept that. And whether or not you agree with the way he left and this, that, and the other, the last few years wasn't great. We'll all admit that. But he did the best he could do, I believe, with what he had at his disposal. And he maybe stayed a year or two too long.
Just to clarify, when I said that as well, it's not because I didn't want him at the club anymore or anything like that. When I said he should have left a bit earlier than he did, the reason I said that is because I just hated looking at him, looking just like a broken man on the sidelines, and all the abuse he was getting, and I just wanted to cry for him. I just felt so sorry for the bloke, and that is the reason why I think he should have gone earlier, because the abuse he was getting from our own fans was horrendous and totally unnecessary, and I just felt gutted for the guy. I really did, and that's why. That is why I wished he could have gone earlier, because I didn't want to see him going through it all.
I don't think any of us and the people listening will ever see football played to that quality and being that successful.
It's just the
It
best.
was unbelievable. It was like the Harlem Globetrotters that went out to win. It was that good.
And let's the Invincibles. Let's not forget that can never be beaten. Obviously, no team can lose less than 0 games in a season, right? But the way that we did that as well, we played negative football. We played great football all them 49 games. It was great football, and we went achievement that no one will ever match. Nobody.
No, he said that they'd lost all fear of losing. That's the mentality that he got.
They'd won the game, Andrew, before they got on the pitch.
Mate, honestly, you know what? Like I said, a corner for our opposition against us was a goal-scoring opportunity for us. Because 8 seconds later, it was in the back of their net. Yeah. It was just breathtaking. I grew up watching Arsenal through the 80s, as we all did. And, you know, I watched some pretty dire stuff. And I never thought in a million years I would see football like that. It's the best football I've seen in my life. And I don't think it will ever be repeated. I just don't. No team has come close to the beauty and thrill of that early Wenger team for me. And there's been some brilliant teams, don't get me wrong, but for actual thrilling football, I don't think it can ever be topped. And that's why I loved him for his philosophy, just going out and forcing us onto the opponent. I love that philosophy, but I know it's wrong, and I know you're going to lose games in the long run, but I just love that philosophy, and I love the football. Because you just don't care about who else. We're going to go there and win anyway. That's the mentality. I just loved it about him. But it caught up with him in the end, obviously. But it's just brilliant. Just brilliant.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I find it very difficult to accept any bad words said about Wenger. And I understand why people have got certain negative feelings towards him, perhaps because certainly towards the end. But to me, I can't accept anything other than the fact that he was just a genius, and he deserves to be respected by everybody because of what he brought us. And the football that we watched for those few years, 5 or 6 years, whenever it was, that great team with Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira, and that team for 5 or 6 years. I agree with you. We're never going to see it because now it is too tactical. It is too robotic. It is too on a tactics ball. That's how it's played, isn't it? And Man City play like that. Liverpool play like that. And Arsenal, as Mike said before, Arsenal are starting to play like that now as well. And although it's great and we're winning games, it isn't so much off the cuff, is it? It isn't that kind of freedom, if you like, of expression that we had under Arsene Wenger. And to me, we're never going to see that again in football because football's changed. It's not going to go back to that now. Or it might evolve in years to come, maybe, but I can't see it. I just think that football's going to become more and more tactical and less off the cuff and less sort of, when you don't think about it, it just happens. And that's what happened with that team, wasn't it? It just happened. It wasn't planned.
And does anyone really genuinely believe that he wanted his team to be weakened season upon season upon season?
No.
It wasn't his choice.
No.
We got weaker as every season progressed.
Yeah.
And he didn't want that.
I'm sure he didn't, I'm sure he didn't.
No, but the thing is, though, Melvin, one second. Let me just finish one point. Because he was the master and the first one, really, to go and find all the little gems in France and all that sort of stuff, wasn't it? No one else was doing that at that point. Everyone else cottoned on to that fact, and everyone else started doing it. So when he couldn't, it became harder and harder and harder for him to find those new Nicolas Anelkas and Kolo Torres, etc., etc. It dried up, didn't it? We couldn't find any more. And
he did find a couple of good ones, though. Also,
because we couldn't compete like with Chelsea, like you said, Melvin. Because Manchester City, obviously, and we couldn't compete salary-wise. We couldn't go out there and buy that sort of level of player. We just fell further and further behind.
Yeah. But listen, I'll always have respect for the guy. I think he's the type of gentleman that whatever he went into, he'd be a success because he's very, very intelligent, right? So respect is one thing, but I think he's not beyond criticism. I think that even though his hands were tied with transfers and stuff like that, Once a player played for us, either from the reserves or we bought him, even for not a lot of money, and that player wasn't good enough, we know that player wasn't good enough. He was very, very loyal to that player, and it cost the team, especially a few defenders I could think of. But respect for him, he was outstanding. And really, at the end of the day, if he did make mistakes, I'll take it all day long. Of course, what he gave me, I'll never get anywhere else.
He's the first person to admit these mistakes as well. Now he's happy to say he's made mistakes, but I think everything that he did was genuinely out of the best of intentions, wasn't it, for the club? And it didn't work out, and I think maybe over time it skewed his thoughts a little bit, but I genuinely believe that everything he did was for the good of Arsenal. He gave his whole entire life, and I just, so much of the book makes you really sad for him, really sad, because like right back from when he was a child, as you've read already, he was a loner, wasn't he? His parents just left him alone, and he's always been a loner, and he's never he couldn't have a marriage. It's just a whole it's quite a whole sad story so far. I mean, I'm near the end of the audiobook, like I said, and it just makes you feel really quite sad for the guy. But you can't feel anything but pride of having him at the club for so long, and it's just a shame you can't go back.
You say you feel sad for him, but he wouldn't have had it any other way.
No,
He's had a great life.
But you can't help it though. You just, and that,
you feel sadder for him than he feels for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think since he's left, it's been awful for him. Because he's kept his same sort of schedule and routine daily. But obviously, since he's left, that was a crushing blow for him to leave. And since then, he's lost not only his brother but his sister as well. Since he left Arsenal 2 years ago, it's horrendous. Really sad for him. He's going through a really bad time.
Yeah,
I know he's got multi-millionaire, but at the end of the day, he's a bloke. He's a man, and who lost his child growing up because he wasn't ever there. He was supposed to go back for a Christmas before he joined Arsenal. He was supposed to go back for a Christmas family get-together, which he promised for ages to do. In the end, he stopped off, watched, because of the pressures from the club, he stopped off and watched a football game, and he missed all the Christmas celebrations with his family, just because he had to look for some players. It's just, he devoted his entire life to Arsenal, even before he actually physically joined us. He was doing things like that. So... and it never stopped for him. Never stopped.
No, he did, and when he was at the Palladium and he was asked about the banners and stuff, Wenger out and all that kind of stuff, and you could see how much that had hurt him, even though he was maybe trying to play it down a little bit. You could just see, couldn't you? And of course it would, because like you said, he's dedicated his whole life to the club, and there's a small section, and it was a very small section of the fan base, were putting stuff like flying helicopters over the stadiums and having banners in the ground and all this kind of stuff. We know who they were, but that would have hurt him, and that's I thought that was unfair and unnecessary. And I hope that some of the people that did that maybe do feel a little bit bad about it now, because there was no need for it. They might well have wanted him to go. They might not have felt he was what the club needed at that time, but to do that was wrong. And hopefully they might realise that now, or one day. I'm hoping so, because I don't feel he deserved any of that. And that's unfortunately he had to suffer that as well, didn't he? Which was a shame, but that's one of those things, isn't it? I guess, but I suppose that's the life of being a football manager.
Yeah, we'll never see his type again. Never see his type again.
We definitely a shame actually in a way, because he brought so much, didn't he? But it's like anything, isn't it? Nothing goes on forever, and that type of football that he played and what he did was never going to be indefinite, was it? It was always going to change and come to an end, and it did. And now the club's moved on, and I think we've all got to move on. Give Wenger the respect he deserves for what he did, and never forget what he did. But ultimately, look forward now for the new start and the new regime at the club now, and hopefully better times will come than what we've experienced over the last few years. That's all we can hope for.
I've got to say, I feel really excited about Mikel Arteta as well. I never thought I'd get the same sort of feeling, similar feeling to when Wenger sort of first joined and we saw the changes sort of gradually coming in. I don't think we're going to get quite the thrilling football, but I'm really excited about what Arteta can bring to us as well, though, to be perfectly honest. And I hope he stays for many, many years to come as well, because I think he's a great, great coach.
Let's hope he doesn't before. Let's hope he doesn't stay. Let's hope he doesn't stay for 1 or 2 years too long now, or he'll get a banner thrown at him as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's look where we are at the moment with our manager, and we're very happy. You can't be unhappy with the manager? Look where Man United are.
No,
they still haven't really got the manager they want, and you're going back. Well, how long's Fergie been gone? 7 years, is it?
Yeah,
6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And they're no nearer really finding the manager they want. So we're in a very fortunate position.
I wouldn't swap him for anyone.
No, I agree. I wouldn't. Definitely not anyone else that's out there at the moment. I'd maybe swap him for perhaps peak Wenger, maybe, but other than that, I wouldn't swap him for anyone at the moment. But no, or maybe peak Fergie, perhaps. But yeah, certainly no one else at the moment that's out there. I did sort of briefly want to mention Mesut Ozil. I know we talk about him a lot. It's his birthday today, and I know he's watching, so I'm going to say happy birthday, Mesut, because I know you're a big fan of the show. do we think that's it now for him? He's played his last game, and that'll be him at the end of the season. He'll just toddle off and disappear into the realms of history, or do you think they still might get an opportunity to play again this season? What do you think?
No, I don't think he'll play again this season for us. I don't think he will. And I think he's in such a... I think it's become a bit of a war between the club and himself. I mean, he's done some things that has shown the club no respect at all. I know that we haven't picked him, or the manager hasn't picked him, and he's really been disrespectful to the club, which I don't think is correct, really. And I think, I've got a funny feeling that when he's a free agent at the end of his contract, he'll come back and purposely play for another Premiership club. I really do. He's going to do that because I think there's a little bit of nastiness there in the tone. Because you think about listen, he's one of the most talented players we've ever had, but we've had much better players than him putting the shirt on. Right?
I'd rather have Ray Parlour than him, because Ray Parlour left everything on the pitch. Nowhere. He didn't have a fraction of Mesut Ozil's skill.
No, but he was so effective for us.
I would have him every day because. I mean, I'm not. When he was in his full flight and he had his time, he was breathtaking to watch. He was amazing, and we can all watch YouTube clips of him going round and round and round and go, a drool coming out of our mouths. Great, but I'm sorry, but he put it in maybe 1 time out of 10 if you spread it out across his entire Arsenal career. And I just can't wait for the day he walks out that club and we never see him again. I just cannot wait, because all we do is talk about him. Yeah. And it just drives me mental. And everyone's going on about this bonus now. I mean, that bonus was written into his contract years ago. There's nothing we could do about it. I mean, for God's sake, what is the point in using him now when he's leaving in 6 months' time? We might as well give his time on the pitch to someone that's going to serve the club long term. The
only thing I would say is obviously we were very, very interested in that Hassan Aouar, who seems like a similar type of role he was going to play. If Arteta wants a player like that, we couldn't get Aouar at this time. He's got a player already at the squad, so why isn't he at least picking him on the bench? If he's got a space for a player like that in the team. Yes, Aouar's a different player, I understand that, but they play a similar role, and it's a role that even Arteta said Ozil maybe doesn't fit in with the system that we're trying to play. But surely if he was after Aouar so much as apparently he was, I just can't see why he's not at least thinking about putting him on the bench. Maybe, I don't know. I can't see it happening now. I think he's done. I think Ozil's done at Arsenal, and I'm quite sad about that, if I'm honest, because I think he's still got something to offer us, I think. And I thought he played quite well before lockdown, actually. He maybe didn't get the credit he deserved for some of the performances that he gave. But whatever the reasons, I think we all have to accept that he's done. It's a shame it's ended like this. And maybe Melvin's right. Maybe he'll come back and play for someone else and rip us to bits and set up 6 goals against us maybe one day. If he didn't do it,
the stupid things he's been doing, though, then we wouldn't feel as much resentment towards him. Because the only reason I'm getting angry now, because I like Mesut Ozil as a person, I like him as a player, but he's doing my head in now, because what's the point in that thing called a Gunnosaurus God, stuff. It's ridiculous. That is just poking the club in the eye, making us look like a laughing stock. There's no need to do that. If you wanted to pay Gunnosaurus his salary, do it behind closed doors. You haven't got to come out on Twitter and say, "Oh, I'll pay it." Obviously, it's like patting the club on the head. It's like patting Arsenal on the head. Oh, go on.
And then
he's 20p for some sweets. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, in inverted commas, he put, "Whilst I'm an Arsenal player who's going to play his wages." You know what I mean? It's like twisting the knife even further. But going back to his playing, he was brilliant, Ozil, at times, but he did pick his matches. You couldn't rely on him to play well or put his foot in the games that really mattered, away at Chelsea or whatever, or Liverpool, away at Man United. He went missing in so many important games. When we play at home to, say, a lesser club, not only a lesser club, he didn't play so well, it wouldn't have mattered so much because we'd have still got over the finishing line. But when we really mattered, we really needed him, when all 11 players had to play well to win that game and give 100%, he didn't show up. And that was disappointing as far as I'm concerned.
It was like B.A. Baracus. He would never get on a plane to go to away games. He's worse than Dennis Bergkamp, not going away.
That's the only time I want to hear you mention him and Dennis Bergkamp in the same breath,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I'd rather have B.A. Baracus in the team. Like I say, I ain't got no goddamn plane for. But we couldn't play him away. We couldn't play him in away games. So what's the point?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And I can't wait to stop talking about him.
I think it's a shame, but I think we need to accept that he's done now. And unfortunately, we're still going to have to pay his, or at least some of his wages without a bonus until the end of the season by the look of it. But anyway.
It's like breaking up with a girlfriend and having to carry on living with that a few more months because she can't find anywhere to live. That's how it is. It's really awkward. We just want to part ways, but she won't go anywhere. She won't go back and live with her mum and dad, so she stays in your flat, something like that. And you can't. It's just a horrible situation. We just need to be parted ways, and can't wait for it to be done. Next summer is going to be really exciting because I think we're going to save best part of £1 million a week in salary. With all the players contracts coming to an end.
I would say that we are. I just wanted to fiinish this little bit just by saying happy birthday, Mesut. We love you really, mate.
Someone put a comment on saying, did he have 350,000 candles on his cake?
Yeah, exactly. One. But the sooner you leave, it is probably going to be better for everyone. Sort of moving on then, what we'll do is our usual little Premier League score predictions before we go. I think I've got the 4 games, which I think are the 4 biggest games, apart from our one, obviously. Obviously, starting with the first one on Saturday, the Merseyside derby, Everton 100% record against Liverpool, of course, bouncing back from their 7-2 defeat. What do we think about that one, Melvin? Everton against Liverpool.
Well, I'm going for Everton to win 2-0. I think they're riding high. I think Liverpool, there is a little bit of doubt in their mind. They didn't play particularly well against us, did they, really? But they let us in. We didn't play particularly well ourselves, and we could have got a draw out of that, which a year ago, we would never have got near. So I think they've got momentum, Everton. I think there's little question marks. Confidence must have taken a dent, getting beaten by 7 goals. So I'm going for Everton to win 2-0.
Well, okay. You think they'll keep a clean sheet even despite Pickford being in goal for them?
Oh, no, they need 2 Pickfords, don't they, really? No, I forgot about that, yeah. No, I think they'll be good enough. To win 2-0. There we go.
Well, that'd be interesting if Liverpool lose 2 on the bounce. What did you think, Andrew, that one, Everton Liverpool?
I can't help thinking that Klopp's been licking his wounds over the last couple of weeks during the interlull, and they're probably working. All the players that he's obviously got kept behind that haven't gone away on international duty will be doubly training hard and be more determined than ever, and they'll probably come back with a real performance. But obviously Everton are a different side this season. So I don't think they're going to get spanked, but I can't see anything other than Liverpool just going all guns blazing for a win. I would say something like about 3-1 Liverpool.
Wow, okay. I mean, Jonathan makes a good point. It is usually often a low-scoring draw, isn't it, Everton against Liverpool, especially at Goodison Park. Obviously, Everton are in great form, aren't they? Calvert-Lewin's on fire at the minute. Yeah, as Nitesh says there, it's Pickford against Adrian, the two goalkeepers not in the best of form, and Sam, I think there's going to be a few goals. I'm not sure about 9-4. That'd certainly be a good game. But some of the scores we've had this season, it wouldn't be a surprise, would it? I think Everton will win as well, actually. I'm going with Melvin. I think Everton will win. I do think there'll be quite a lot of goals in it, though, maybe 3-2 or something like that. Because I do think defensively is the weakness of both teams at this moment in time. Everton scoring a lot of goals. And I just think Everton will nick it, but I think it will be maybe 3-2, something like that. I'm going to go with, because I can see there being goals there. And I say Liverpool 2 defeats in a row could be interesting this early in the season. If we was to beat Man City as well, then that's Man City lost twice, Liverpool's lost twice within the first 5 games. That would be a bit of a shock, wouldn't it? And open the league right up, really.
I think that happened in 1973 the last time.
Was it?
No, I'm joking.
Well, it might have been. Right, the second game, there's another interesting game, I think. Newcastle against Manchester United. That could be an interesting game. Obviously, Man United not doing too well at the moment. What do you think about that one, Melvin?
Well, it all depends if Maguire's playing or not.
Well,
if he's playing, then I think they're going to get beat United. I think Newcastle are doing 2-0. Again, 2-0.
Right. Okay.
I think a couple of their forwards, Newcastle, are coming on strong now. I think, I think they're up, and I'm going with momentum in that one as well.
Did you say, Newcastle to win 2-0?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you think then, Andrew? Do you agree with that or not?
It's at Newcastle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1-1. I think it'd be a dull game. What is it with Maguire? I mean, seriously, honestly, he's just. Why is he getting picked for England? I mean, Southgate is just got to be sacked. Honestly, I've been going on for ages about Southgate being a rubbish coach. He's worse than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I reckon. But yeah, I can't. I mean, neither side are great, are they? So I'll stick with 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but I actually think Newcastle will beat them. Actually, I just think Man United have got some problems going on there. Obviously, Maguire is just. I mean, I don't know if he'll even play. To be honest, I mean,
I don't want them to lose. I don't want Man United to lose though either, because I don't want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get sacked. So I really want him to stay there.
Maybe, yeah. I just think Newcastle, have actually played reasonably well, haven't they? Last few games, I think, they can score goals now this season. That was their problem last year, not scoring enough goals. They've got obviously Wilson, who's got a few. St. Maximum just signed a new contract, so I think he'll be well up for it. And I think they'll beat Man United. Actually, I can see it being something like 3-1 or even 4-1, something like that, because I just think Man United have got a lot of problems. And away from home, I mean, they've had some bad results at Newcastle in the past, haven't they? In recent years. So
they beat them 2-0 last year, didn't they, Richard?
I think they might have beaten last year. Yeah,
they see that comment, Jonathan's comment about United's next 4 fixtures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They could lose all of them, couldn't they? They could do.
I hope not, though, because
they'll be bottom of the league.
I hope they just about keep ticking over enough for them not to sack him. I really do, because
No, but I'd rather they went into complete meltdown, actually. And if they lost them next 4 games, well, they're going to be in the bottom 3, aren't they? You'd imagine, and that would be quite funny. Let's be honest.
I know, but I don't want them to get, him who will not be named, eating as manager, because he's just waiting around the corner, in his car. Just eating donuts, waiting for the call.
I think it's just a matter of time, isn't it? Ollie's on borrowed time, isn't he? Regardless, they could get a couple of good results in the next few weeks, but I don't think it's going to ultimately change the overall long-term picture, is it? And I think he's on his last legs. So let's just get him. Let's just get it done. Let him lose 3 or 4 games in a row, bottom of the league, so we can have a little laugh for a few weeks, and then they're not going to get relegated, are they? Let's face it. Even if he stays, so we might as well make the most of them. The amount of years we've had to put up with them, laughing at us and stuff like that. So we need to make the most of this for the next few weeks. So I hope they lose their next 4 games, even if it's only a temporary kind of situation for them to be. Don't forget, last year we wasn't far off dropping into the bottom 3 or 4, were we? So, it's their time this year, and I'm sure that they'll make similar change and they'll improve. But for now, I'm going to enjoy it. So I think
can you imagine if they sacked Ole, Gunnar Solskjaer, and they got in Unai Emery as his replacement?
Right now, the favourite's got to be Poch, isn't it? It's got to be Poch.
Yeah, of course it is.
I think we know that where he'll go.
Just a bit of fantasy going on, daydreaming going on in my head. Then,
well, yeah, Emery would be
so
funny.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be funny. But I'm sure they'll their next manager will be better than Ollie anyway. But anyway, right. The next game then is an interesting one. Tottenham against West Ham, London derby. Obviously, West Ham are in good form, aren't they? So and so are Spurs actually. So that's going to be a good game actually. What do you think about this one, Melvin?
Got to fancy a couple of goals, 2-2.
Yeah,
I think both teams are very good attacking. They haven't got the greatest defences, either team. And I think I fancy West Ham to go 2-0 up. In fact, I've got a funny feeling they're going to go 2-0 up West Ham, cruising, and then give something away the last 20 minutes or something. I think it'll be 2-2.
Well, that'd be a good game if it is. I mean, I can understand that. What about yourself, Andrew? What do you think of that one? Spurs against West Ham. I always predict Spurs to lose 6-0, don't you?
Spurs 0, West Ham 6. Move on.
I shouldn't put the Spurs game on with you because I know you're going to say that. I mean, I actually think West Ham might well win just because they're in great form at the minute, haven't they? They had a great away win at Leicester. And I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham do go there and win. I think they've had a few decent results at Spurs as well, actually. It's one of their sort of better grounds for them over the recent years.
Team for Spurs.
They've got a very good record, that's right. Very good record against Spurs.
So I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham win. Yeah, only 6-0 would be great. I'd be happy if West Ham won 1-0. But I think there'll be goals, actually. I agree with Melvin. I think both teams have scored a lot of goals this season, but they're maybe not the best defensively. You got to remember what West Ham did when they played away at our place a few weeks ago. They made it difficult for us. I think they'll be similar against Spurs, actually. And I don't think Spurs aren't as good as us to be able to find a way to win it. So I think West Ham will nick it, maybe 2-1. Again, it could be a 3-2. I think there could be goals in it, but I'll go 2-1. I think to West Ham because
it depends whether Moyes is back because if he's back, then they'll lose, won't they? So
can Gareth Bale play? Is Gareth Bale available?
Great minds, Nitesh.
Yeah. I'm not sure actually. I don't know why he's not played before. Is it because was he not fit?
I think he was in some golf tournament.
Oh, was he? Oh, well, that's obviously more important.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, so the DWTT said 3-2 to West Ham. So, yeah, I won't be surprised if that's what happens. And the other game we'll predict on is another sort of local derby, actually, and a game that I think could, again, be quite a good game to watch. Leicester against Aston Villa. Of course, Aston Villa and Leicester both had a good start to the season. Are Villa going to kind of follow up that Liverpool game? It's another tough game for them. But, I mean, they must be flying at the minute after that, So what do you think about that one, Melvin? Leicester against Aston Villa?
I think they've been a reversal of their last two games. I fancy Leicester, who got slaughtered by West Ham, and Villa, who had a fantastic game against Liverpool. I think Leicester will win. I just think that the Leicester manager, get them going. I think really get them going for that game. And I think Villa have been playing very well. But I think at some stage it comes to an end, and I fancy Leicester being the team to do it. 2-1.
2-1 to Leicester, yeah. Okay, that seems, well, yeah. I mean, I think it's quite a difficult one to call. What do you think, Andrew, about that, Leicester-Aston Villa?
Yeah, they beat Leicester away last year, didn't they, in the semi-final? And
that's right, they did, yeah. They knocked them out of the cup, yeah.
I think Roger Brenda, I think he'll... I think I agree with Melvin. I think he'll. I'll go for a Leicester win 2-1. I think they'll just sneak it. Actually, I mean, Maddison's in real form now, isn't he? Now he's come back. He's scored a couple of screamers, isn't he? And he's a good player. I've always liked him. So I think they'll do it.
I mean, Leicester have been a bit hit and miss, haven't they? They had that great win at Man City when they won 5-2, and then they got smashed at home to West Ham. And you never really know what you're going to get with Leicester at the minute. I mean, Aston Villa have had a great start, haven't they? I think it's only them and Aston Villa and Everton that have got 100% record. I know they played one less game because of they were supposed to play one of the Manchester clubs at the start, weren't they? But I don't know. I fancy Aston Villa might get something. Maybe a draw. I don't know whether or not they can win. I'm going to go a draw, maybe 1-1. I think I'll go for a draw. A lot of derby games tend to finish in a draw, don't they?
They're doing really well. I mean, I think
Yeah.
they have had the best transfer window, Aston Villa. When you look at what they needed and what they've got, and they've made some really good signings, actual intelligent, good quality signings, rather than what they did last summer. They went off all around Europe and bought players that no one's ever heard of. But they've actually got some really good quality signings in this year, and I think, respectively, compared to all the other teams in where they expect to be finishing, like Chelsea, for example, went out and bought the players that they've bought. No thought went into it. They bought it because they bought those players opportunistically, whilst they could, and just we'll work it out later, type of thing. We'll get them while we can. But yeah, I think they've done really, really well. I think Matty Cash at the right back is a really underrated player. I think he's going to be excellent. And I think Ross Barkley signing is a stroke of genius, to be perfectly honest. Excellent signing for them. And, well, the striker, Ollie Watkins, he's obviously speaking for himself at the moment, isn't he? He looks like a steal as well. So, yeah, I'm really impressed with but their best signing by far is keeping Grealish for another 5-year contract. I mean, who would have thought of that?
Yeah, but Grealish is not good enough for England, is he, Andrew? Not good enough to start with England, is he?
Started against Southgate again.
Please, Andrew, he's not good enough.
No,
Southgate
I think Aston Villa haven't got a bad goalkeeper either, have they? I don't think.
Who is he? I don't know.
Well, of course, I didn't even mention him as a signing. Yeah,
I'm not sure. I think I've heard they've got a decent goalkeeper, Aston Villa, this season.
They stole him from somebody. Just to go back to that game, Andrew, you're saying about Aston Villa, how well they've done in the market. But over the last couple of years, look how well Leicester have done in the market. They've done brilliantly. Oh, I think so. Yeah. People have signed. They signed the centre half. The last couple of years, they've done very well. The centre half,
of course they have. But I mean, the money they brought in as well. I mean, unbelievable.
It wasn't. They weren't spending 30s and 40s. They were spending 10s and 20s.
Oh, I know.
And they've got a really. Their midfield is far better than ours. Come on.
No, not
pre-party.
Pre-party. We'll see next week, won't we? Because we're playing them, aren't we, next week? So be interesting. That'll be a good game, actually.
I think that Ndidi out as well, though. Still, isn't he? They're not the same team without him. They've got the guy from Cypress Hill in to replace him when Ndidi's not playing. They've got the Cypress Hill bloke, but he's just not the same type of player, is he? He's not bad, but he's not good enough to replace Wilfred Ndidi. So that's an issue. But I mean, look at Jamie Vardy. He's like Peter Pan, isn't he? He just keeps going on and on and on and on. So you can't bet against him.
Scoring penalties this season, anyway. I'll give him that.
Well, yeah, exactly.
He hasn't scored a normal goal, has he, this season? I think all his goals have been penalties.
Yeah, I know, but he still keeps knocking them in, doesn't he?
No, he does. He's a good player. Let's be honest. He is a good player. So, I mean, I think there's actually some. I know the Premier League this season has produced some crazy scores and some great games, actually, and this weekend there's some great games lined up as well, isn't there? I mean, obviously, those ones we've mentioned, obviously our game as well. There's some big games this weekend, actually. It's going to be interesting to see some of these results, actually, to see where it leads everyone, because it has been so open and unpredictable, the whole league, hasn't it? So it'll be very interesting to see. I think by the end of this weekend, I think it's going to be we'll have maybe a little bit more of an idea how Liverpool have bounced back, how Man City have bounced back, obviously how we do against Man City as well. And, it's going to be a good weekend, a big weekend, I think.
Well, we need Everton Liverpool to be a draw, really, don't we? I mean, that'd be ideal. I mean, if we can grab a win, just about nick a win. I mean, it's saying a lot because we haven't done it for so long. But if we can nab a win and Everton and Liverpool get a draw, that'd be brilliant, really good.
It's sad about how the other teams go. You missed out Tottenham. They've been on an amazing run quietly.
Well, they're losing 6-0. They're losing 6-0, so that's all fine.
I forgot about that. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame that happened, but yeah.
They lose 6-0 every week. I mean, the test thinks Son deserves Golden Boot. I'm not quite sure I'd agree with that.
How can an Arsenal fan actually come out with that? Seriously.
I mean, he's crazy guy. He's a crazy guy.
He's a good player, but we don't think he deserves to win anything because he
doesn't deserve to lick
But
anyone.
he is a good player. He's a good player, isn't he?
He's a great player, but he don't deserve anything.
Exactly, he deserves misery for playing for them.
When he smiles, and when he smiles, I just want to punch him in the face. I can't stand his face. But he's a great. He's a really. I mean, you can't knock him. He's a great player. But
he is a great player.
He doesn't deserve anything. No.
I mean, he's got a lot of goals this season, but I refuse to put him in my fantasy team. I refuse to put any Spurs player in my fantasy team. I don't care how many goals they score, how many points they get. Never. I'd rather get no points than get Son's points because I'd feel dirty, quite honestly.
I don't even buy white toothbrushes, or with white and blue toothbrushes, let alone put any Spurs players in my fantasy team. No chance.
I used to live in America. And I got offered to be a cowboy, good money, but they wanted me to wear some Spurs, so I didn't bother.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. Some things are more important, aren't they?
Exactly,
definitely. Yeah. You've got to have your standards.
Exactly, yeah. Jonathan thinks he's a bit of a streaky player. He'll go weeks without scoring. I don't know. I do feel his goal scoring record's actually pretty decent, if you're honest. He has got a decent goal scoring record, but
he's definitely
always going to be in Kane's shadow a little bit, isn't he, I suppose?
They're all turds on the pitch in the middle of the Armitage Shanks Arena, swirling around, all the little turds swirling round and round and round on the way down the plug hole.
DWTT thinks we've spoken about him too long. And he's
I agree.
Correct.
6-0.
Correct.
Losing 6-0.
6-0 to West Ham. That's that done.
6-0, move on.
Well, I mean, is there anything else that you want to talk about? I know we sort of would leave the last bit perhaps open to you guys if there's anything in particular. I know we've covered quite a lot of good stuff tonight, actually, across all of football as well as Arsenal. Is there anything that's kind of, you guys wanted to maybe talk about, or anyone maybe in the chat maybe got anything?
The Kieran Tierney thing, right? I saw someone tweet about it. I know we touched on it earlier, but someone tweeted out what Mikel Arteta said about it, and he said, hopefully we'll hear more this afternoon.
Yeah,
I don't know whether anyone in the chat has heard anything since, but I think that if he has tested negative, the club will pull out all the stops to get him playing, basically.
Well, there's no reason he shouldn't, is there? Let's face it. If he's negative, why on earth can't he play?
He can't. It's just ridiculous. They haven't got a leg to stand on, stopping him from playing, as far as I'm concerned.
Who's actually stopping him? Is it Scotland?
Yeah, he's not in Scotland anymore.
Because Scotland's regulations are different to ours, aren't they? So I think that's probably why initially they said he had to self-isolate for 14 days because he'd been in close contact with someone who tested positive. But if he's testing negative, I can't see what difference, how they can justify.
He's our player now, though, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's our player now.
I think he's back at. So they were all back. So we'll see how long till international breaks are postponed. Yeah, I mean, perhaps they should be with the current situation. I know Arteta was asked about that today, and he says it's important international football goes ahead with the tournaments and stuff, but. I think at this moment in time, it's crazy, isn't it? When other countries have got different regulations. And if Kieran Tierney can't play on Saturday for us, because even though he's tested negative because of a Scotland player that he happened to have some contact with a week or so ago, that would be a ridiculous situation when he's tested negative, wouldn't it? And that's simply a result of international football that wasn't necessarily to be played at this point of time, I think. But, we'll see what happens. It does seem crazy that
I think they should be postponed permanently. I haven't liked international football since, like I said, Terry Venables and Glenn Hoddle were manager. Since then, it just went off a cliff as far as I was concerned. The England team. The last World Cup, everyone was going mad about us getting to the semi-finals. We were so lucky. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
the draw we had, we might as well have been. Doing the European Championship qualifiers, that was that easy. Southgate, don't get me started. He's absolutely shit. He always has been. Sorry for my language. He's never been a decent coach, as far as I'm concerned. I just can't believe he's in the position that he's in. And I bet he can't either. I bet he goes home every day. I'm still England manager. I'm still the England manager.
He was only there by default, wasn't he? Because he was the under-21 manager.
Exactly.
And it's like, who can we pass this to? And he was standing in the corner.
What is going on at the FA? A.D. Boothroyd is the under-21 manager as well, and he is absolute garbage. He hasn't got a clue either. I mean, honestly, I don't know what the FA are doing. I seriously don't.
Well, listen, they might have to change him.
Get Arsene Wenger as England manager.
No, they should change him. I don't mind that, but they should get Southgate should go. He should go to Man United.
Well, yeah, that'd be good.
That would be
get
good.
Eddie Boothroyd in as a Spurs manager.
That'd be a good thing. That so Man United lose their next 4 games. While he gets sacked, they take Southgate. There you go.
Yeah, that's it. Job done.
Yeah, that's a great scenario, that isn't it? Happy days.
That'd be great. That'd be really good. But they're not going to get rid of him.
The test thinks Lacazette will be our top scorer this season, but then he also wants Son to win the Golden Boot. So I don't think we should listen to Nitej too much.
Well, it's got to be Aubameyang our goal, mind you. Even if Martinelli comes back just after Christmas, or I think he'll come back before because the kid's a machine. He could he could just go on a scoring streak to the rest of the season and win us the league. He's that good.
If he can get a run back in the team, yeah.
I mean, obviously,
it's so exciting now, Martinelli.
But I cannot wait for him to come back into the team. He's going to be like a starved greyhound. You know, they're starving the greyhound for 2 days before the greyhound race. He's going to come out the blocks like that. I cannot wait.
I think so, yeah.
I hope he gets protected though. He wasn't protected before when he played last time. They were out to get him, the other players last time.
You know, like the muzzles, like the Rottweilers have. He will have one of those on when he comes back onto the pitch.
They'll throw bits of food at him, will they?
Yeah. I agree with Jonathan there about obviously going back to the Kieran Tierney thing. You know, the Portuguese players seem to be okay. Obviously, Ronaldo tested positive, didn't he? I don't quite know how coronavirus got to him because he's an absolute physical sort of specimen.
Yeah, he's not far off me, really. His 6-pack, it's not bad, is it?
No, he's definitely up there. You can't knock him for that.
I've got beer as well at home, the 6-pack. So we're all together in the same squad.
I've got a barrel.
I think Sam's referring to Lacazette there, who'll dry up after Christmas. But hopefully Martinelli will be back then, as we said. So if he does, Martinelli can come in and hopefully get us the goals that we need. So I think we've decided that Southgate's a very, very crap manager, which is good.
No, it's good manager. Good manager, Man United.
Yeah,
manager.
He's good for Man United. It'd be good for Man United. It'd even be good for Tottenham when they get sick of Jose. Actually, it'd be quite a good choice for them as well. Yeah. But other than that, we don't really think too much of him. He always misses a few chances. I suppose that's Lacazette again.
I think.
Yeah, I think Aubameyang's going to be top scorer, isn't he? Let's face it. Unless he gets an injury and he misses a large chunk of the season, he's going to be up there to win the Golden Boot again, isn't he? He's going to be up there. So,
I think Lacazette's going to be phased out throughout the season. It's his last season.
For Nketiah, do you think? Do you think Nketiah's going to get
No, I genuinely think that Aubameyang's going to be moved more into the middle as more and more as the season goes on. I genuinely do.
What I find strange about Nketiah, actually, I know Melvin's not a big fan. When he plays for England under 21s, don't you think he looks a lot more cooler in front of goal? That goal he scored yesterday to beat the
terrific. That first touch, Richard, was brilliant. First touch.
And the way he took the goal, and he's done that for England under 21s a few times, and it's like I've never seen him do that for Arsenal yet, really. No. All his goals for Arsenal have been 2-yard tappings, haven't they? Most of them. And he doesn't seem to have that, that was almost like a Thierry Henry type goal, wasn't it? The way he took the ball, ran on, and it was an incredible goal. And he's done that for them a lot. And I've not seen him do it for Arsenal. And I don't know why, because I think he's got it in him. I do. Having watched him play quite a lot for England lately, he's got that in him. But I don't know why he's not producing that for Arsenal. Maybe it's a different role he's got in the team, perhaps a little bit. I don't know. But you just don't see him do that.
Do you think he might be overawed by a couple of the players like Aubameyang and people like that? They're not doing it to him purposely. It just happens he's looking at them and going, well, perhaps I'm not at their level yet. And in the back of his mind.
Yeah, maybe he feels more hungry under 21s amongst his own kind of. He feels that he's as good as them, maybe. Yeah, maybe it could be that. I don't know, but I'd want to see him start doing that for Arsenal. Because I've been so impressed with him for England. He has looked a great player, and you think to yourself, if he can come into the Arsenal team and play like that, then we've got a great player there who's going to be a big asset to us. Because if you can get a player who can score goals like that regularly, then
and he's got a good attitude, hasn't he?
Right,
he
should be for the next season or two. And I think he'll be happy with this, to be perfectly honest, considering how old Aubameyang and, if we do keep Lacazette, how old they are. He would stay on for the next couple of years, and he'd be quite happy to be our super sub, be our Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if you want, when he was a player. I honestly think that it'd be stupid to get rid of him, because he's an Arsenal man through and through. He's a great finisher. He can really mess teams up if he comes on with 20 minutes to go and we're chasing the game. He works really hard. And how much would you have to pay to get a backup striker in? Someone that's happy to play second fiddle to Aubameyang and Lacazette and Pepe and Martinelli and all that. He's perfect for us, because he's a proven goal scorer who's happy to be in and around the first team at the moment and get his minutes whenever he can. Give him all the cup games and bring him on in most of the Premier League games to rest Aubameyang's legs, because we need to start looking after Aubameyang as in this last contract that he's got, because he cannot simply carry on going, chasing back and playing at left back to cover all game. He's just doing too much running. So I genuinely think Lacazette's going to be phased out throughout the season. We'll sell him next summer, and Aubameyang is going to shift into the middle to save his legs long term and extend his career.
I mean, I think Martley says that he thinks he can get 15 league goals. He'd have to play a lot of games to get 15 league goals. I can't see him playing that many games, actually, to be able to be in a position to score that many goals. He'd probably have to play most of the league games, wouldn't he? I would have thought, to score that number. When you think, Aubameyang only scored 22 league goals last year, playing in most of the games. So I think for Eddie to score 15 in the league, he'd have to play 35 games, wouldn't he? Probably. And I don't think he's going to play that many.
No, I don't think it'd take that much. Honestly, I really rate Eddie. I've been going on about Eddie for ages now. At least probably not last season, the season before. Because since Ian Wright started talking about him a lot more and took him under his wing and became his protege, and I started watching a lot of the under-23 games, and this is why I'm not going to mention his name, but a certain youngster who's got 3 initials that I love very much. But I really do rate Nketiah as a striker, but we don't play to his strengths. This is the problem. I've got no doubt that he would make it if we did play to his strengths and got balls into him, because he's devastating in the box. He's an actual born finisher. But whether he'll make it long term, I don't know, because we don't play that sort of style of football. But we would be absolutely stupid to get rid of him, like I said, and go and buy a replacement for him, because who is going to come and be happy to play second fiddle? If I was Eddie, and I'm pretty sure about this, that he'd be quite happy to spend the next 2 seasons playing the cup games and Europa League, if Champions League obviously next season, because that's where we're going to be. But and coming on in the Premier League as a super sub, like I said, because he knows that Aubameyang's not getting any younger. So, and fingers crossed, he will really prove himself over the next season or 2, and he might be able to take over from Aubameyang long term. Who knows? But in the meantime, we'd be stupid to get rid of him, because we know he can score goals, and we know he's an Arsenal boy through and through.
I mean, I think he's on the verge of a breakthrough, a major breakthrough. You can see he's almost there, and it's just, is he going to be able to take that next step now, which is what he needs? And I think a lot of that's going to do with how much game time he gets. Maybe the Europa League is going to be the making of him this year, perhaps, and he'll go on, get a few goals there, get more chances in the Premier League. We'll see. I mean, I like Eddie, and I think he's got something there. It just hasn't quite flourished yet, has it? And whether it's like you said, Andrew, maybe it's because we're not playing to his strengths, maybe always in the system that we play. He's having to drop a bit deeper and stuff like that. I don't know whether that's why.
He's in and out of the team as well. He's in and out of the team.
He's in and out of the team.
So
I mean, Balogun already. I mean, Eddie's
well,
got
Eddie,
ahead of him.
Balogun's never played a first team game, has he? So
No,
of course
not yet.
Eddie.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe Balogun deserves an opportunity in Europa League. Maybe I don't know if he's in the squad. I don't know if he was named in the
I'd love
squad.
to keep hold of Balogun. Don't get me wrong. I think he's an extremely good prospect. He's the same build as it really reminds me of Sean Wright Phillips. The way he runs and the way he looks, he's got exactly the same body type as Sean Wright Phillips. But yeah, I think I don't think he's going to stop though, is he? He's going to be gone. He's not signing a new contract. So again, you don't give him the. I would love to keep hold of him, but we can't keep hold of everyone. But the thing is with Eddie as well. The thing is with Eddie, if he does start getting minutes and plays all the cup games and coming on and scoring, I mean, who's to say that someone might not come in and offer us 35 million for him? Because, how much did Liverpool get for, what's his name? 23 million from Sheffield United, and he's played 0 Premier League games.
Brewster, yeah.
So, I mean, if he's worth 23 million, Eddie is worth 35 in any day of the week. So, and if he does, and he can get to become a first choice for a Premier League team, good luck to him. But I do like Eddie. I hope we keep him, and I hope he does make a good career at Arsenal.
No, I'd like to see it. Yeah, I'll say I think he's on the verge. I think this is going to be a big season for him. I think if he doesn't quite make it this season with Arsenal in terms of getting a regular game and scoring enough goals, then I don't know whether or not he ever will, because he's 20 now. He's going to be obviously 21 next year, and if he's not playing a bit more regularly by then, you've got to question if he ever will. So I think this is a massive year for him, and I'm hoping that he comes good, because you can see he has got something about him. He is a goal scorer. He's a natural goal scorer, and I just want to see him produce more consistently for Arsenal when he plays. I know it's difficult when you're in and out of the team, I suppose.
And that's a backup. You can't get much better than him, really.
No, he's a great backup. He's a great sub to come on, isn't he?
Someone that's happy to be backup playing for Arsenal.
I wouldn't say he's happy.
It'd be hard to find, isn't it?
I'm sure he wants to play. I'm sure he wants to start every game.
Of course, yeah. But as a club, like I said, if we had to go out and replace him, who would you get to replace him? You'd have to play. People aren't going to want to come and sit on the bench, are they? They're going to want to start every single game. So who are we going to get that's better than Eddie Nketiah to come and play in the same role that he's playing for us? It's going to be hard to do, and not cheap either. So we'd be stupid to get rid of him. Keep him as long as we can. If he does demand to go, then fair play to him. But hopefully he will keep putting his value up and up and up, because it's not doing him any disservice, is it? What he's doing for the England under-21s at the moment. That's a fantastic performance that he's done for them, and it's
not just him.
His scoring record is incredible.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
So
but not just players like him. There's lots of players we've got in the reserves that are all coming through now. They look potential. There could be a situation that in the next 5 years we don't actually have to spend too much money. And that's a big plus for the club. We've got a couple of players in most positions now. And you've got all these youngsters coming through. You've got the Smith Rowe we haven't mentioned tonight. I know we mentioned it the other night. But he's someone I'm quite interested about. I think he could be quite good. He could be the guy that stopped us spending 50 million on OR or something like that.
Oh, funny you say that, Melvin.
Don't get Andrew started on Smith Rowe. We'll be all night again.
He could save us. He could save us 50 or 60 million quid. Going to buy our, play him instead. He might be just as good, if not better. God, that's it. That's all I'm saying this evening.
All right, fair enough.
I think there seems to be. Mark there said, "Isn't Eddie 21?" Natasha said he's 21. I'm sure I did a bit of a video on him yesterday. I'm sure he was born in 1999, so he would be 21, wouldn't he? Actually, yeah.
Depending on when he was born in 99. Yeah.
I think it's May. I think his birthday's May, but yeah. So I think he is 21 then. Yeah. So I think Mark's right. So yeah, even more so. And I think this proves what a big year this is then, because like you said, if he's going to be 22 next year, if he isn't making regular appearances, then you've got to question if he ever will. So I think it's an even bigger season for him. I mean, another young player actually I just wanted to talk about quickly was William Saliba, because Arteta said today that he's not going to go out on loan now. And that he's
I didn't hear that.
He said that in his press conference. Now, whether that's because they couldn't get a deal sorted out, but to me, if he stays at Arsenal, and Arteta's clearly said he's not ready to play in the first team. Does that mean he's just going to play in the under-23s? Surely he'd be better off going on loan and getting experience of first-team football somewhere rather than playing in our under-23s. Surely, to me, that's what I think.
No, because his problem is in his head at the moment, isn't he? It's not physically. It's not because of his talent. I'm sure he's short in a couple of areas, experience and talent-wise, of course, because of his age. But the problem with him at the moment is in his head. I think the worst thing you could do is put him into the Championship in a 48-game season. You know how tough the Championship is. He'll get kicked from pillar to post. And the only reason we were going to send him back to France was because of his family being over there. So he could actually go and be closer to his family at this difficult time for him. I mean, imagine it must be really tough for the kid moving to a new country where he don't speak the language. 18 years old, and he's obviously lost his a family member. It's a horrible time for him. So I think the only reason we would have loaned him was to go back to France so he could be closer to him. But now the best place for him is to stay within the club if he's not going to go on loan back to France, which is obviously impossible now, unless we do that in January. Potentially we could do it in January. But in the meantime, if we keep him close to home, keep him learning the Arteta way of playing football and coaching him ourselves, then maybe he will be able to get his head right. It'll be enough time for him to get sorted, and then potentially we can play him second half of the season, and because we can change the Europa League squad after the group stage.
Yeah, that's right. You can. After the group stage,
we could, because he counts as homegrown as well. We haven't got to name him as part of the specific squad, so maybe we can sort of start introducing him to the Premier League second half of the season. We don't know.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I mean, I just thought that he would benefit from playing football because he's not played a lot of football, like Arteta said, didn't he? He didn't play much last season because obviously the French season finished in March and he'd had an injury and whatever. So I just felt as though he might be better off playing more regular competitive football as opposed to...
If his brain's not right, if his mind's not really focused because of what's going on in his life at the moment, and you chuck him into the Championship and he fails because he's not quite on it mentally,
I think
it could ruin his career.
Yeah, he's 18 or 19 years old, whatever he is. He's a young kid. We can afford to write off a year to get him right.
I think so. It's more important things sometimes, isn't there?
Yeah.
And we're not going to lose money on that kid. Whatever happens.
Whatever happens. I want to talk about money. I want to see him play. I want him to play. I think he could be there for years to come. That's the point I was going to make.
Yeah. He's going to come good. We know that. He's in it for the long haul. But if the worst case scenario is, and he just wanted to move back to France because of his life situation or whatever, we still won't lose money on him. So just give him some time and space to get his head right. I think that's the main thing. I think it's the most important thing at the moment. To chuck him into the Championship, the hurly-burly Championship, with his mind not on it, I think it could ruin his career if it goes wrong. His confidence could be shot to pieces, couldn't it?
Yeah, maybe it's the right thing. I mean, I suppose we don't really know exactly what goes on behind the scenes. Arteta will know more about his personal circumstances and how he is physically and mentally as well, maybe, and perhaps that's the reason. I don't know. I just found it, because obviously there was massive talk of him going out on loan last week, wasn't there? It was a big, almost as though it had almost been which clubs he going to as opposed to if he was going out at all. And now suddenly it seems as though he's not going out on loan. Now they've changed their mind and we're keeping him at the club. I just thought, I didn't really know, it just seemed to me a little bit of a strange sort of backtrack really when it seemed so obvious last week that he was going somewhere. And suddenly
it's also positive because remember and Arsene Wenger has said about Jack Wilshere, maybe it was a mistake to start playing him so often, so young. And I think it's a positive that we're actually looking after the welfare of the younger players coming through a bit more and introducing them slower, which we clearly are now. We're introducing them slower into the team, and that's
we can afford to with our squad now. Can't we? We can afford to.
It's good.
Couldn't do that a year ago.
Such a positive. Such
a positive.
I
think so.
Because it will extend their careers, and I'm quite happy about that. So the fact that we're looking after the kids' welfare and. It's really important because he could be our defensive rock for the next decade quite comfortably, or more. at his age. So yeah, looking after him now will see us right in the long run.
Yes, hope so. Yeah, I mean, like you said, the long term is more important. And like Melvin said before, he's still a young lad, isn't he? We've got plenty of years left in his career, and we can benefit from that for a long time yet. So yeah, if it's the right thing, that'd be brilliant. I mean, let's hope that's the reason then, that we are keeping him for those reasons, to look after him and make sure that he's right. And you never know, he might even end up getting some game time, mightn't he, with us in the Europa League or
might be
something like that. I think the Europa League could be a good way to maybe get him some games. Maybe, we'll see how that works. That could work pretty well for him, because I think he's in the squad, isn't he? Like you said, he hasn't, because he's technically homegrown as such. I mean,
he
Mark's
can't play.
He
can't play in the group stages of the Europa though, Mark, because he's not named in the squad for the Europa League, but he can play in the Carabao and the FA Cup and stuff like that, and Premier League. But he won't do for quite a while yet. But,
no, I can't see him playing in the Premier. I actually thought the Europa League would have been ideal for him, actually, but he's not named in the squad for that.
If his brain, like I say, if his mind's not there at the moment, his mind's not there. Just give him some space and time, and let the club sort it out. They're doing the right thing by him, which is the most important thing.
No, I mean, I'm sure they are, and I trust what they're doing. I just found it a little bit of a shock, really, today when Arteta said he wasn't going anywhere, when last week it was all a matter that he was, and suddenly he's not. So I just thought it was a little bit, a little bit strange. But anyway, exactly. Jonathan's there. He's right. As you look how Maguire's coping, he's had a tough summer.
Really positive. Long term, how good would that be? It'd be incredible, wouldn't it? And they could be the centre back pairing for France as well for the next decade, as well as Arsenal. So could be brilliant. Could be really, really good.
Yeah. Listen, if he came through the reserves and Saliba, and he's 18 or 19, and the team says, you know what, we're going to play him in the under-23s this year. We don't think he's ready for the first team. We wouldn't bat an eyelid.
No,
it's only because we bought him. So I don't think it's a big problem. I really don't.
The under-23s is a good level for an 18, 19-year-old, to be perfectly honest.
And he'll learn about the Arsenal as well, the Arsenal way.
Exactly, yeah.
I think it's okay. I really think it's okay.
I do. We've actually got some good centre-backs in the under-23s. Well, we've gone on like that. McGuinness, it's gone on loan.
Mac something. Who's that Mac guy?
McGuinness.
What's his game? Yeah, him.
He's gone on loan, isn't he?
6'4".
That's right, yeah.
That header he scored against MK Dons was
terrific header,
wasn't it?
Yeah, brilliant.
Really good. And we've got a couple of others as well. So
both have gone on loan, haven't they? Both centre halves gone on loan, I think.
Yeah, I know McGuinness actually gone to Ipswich, isn't he? McGuinness, I think.
Yeah.
The other kid's name, I've completely forgotten the other one's name. But yeah, they both have. But Zach Medley's gone out on loan as well. By all accounts, the last I heard was a few weeks ago that he's coming on in leaps and bounds, Zach Medley, and we've got high hopes for him. Now, he's been developed very, very slowly, but he's had a few shots at first team, hasn't he? But apparently, he's really starting to come good, and he's massive as well. He's good on the ball, very, very good on the ball.
Yeah.
Left-footed centre back as well, isn't he? So another one.
Yeah, so we're looking quite good at because we haven't brought through defenders since Ashley Cole really into the first team, have we?
No. I've got a question for you both. Will we see Mari play this year?
I think he's going to play more than you think in the back three.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I think.
I must admit, I'm starting to think that Arteta's planning to have Gabriel in the centre and Mari on the left.
I do as well.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
I think that's the second half of the season when Mari's fit, and maybe David Luiz is coming to the end of his contract at the end of the season. I think we could see Mari, Gabriel as playing as in those two positions. And I don't know. I mean, maybe Rob Holding on the right.
Chambers.
Maybe Chambers when he gets himself fit. Yeah, possibly. But I can see Mari playing. Yeah, I can see Gabriel. I think Arteta sees Gabriel more in the centre, doesn't he? Because he's playing him there, even when he could have played him on the left in the last game, for example. He didn't, did he? In fact, he played him on the right, didn't he, in the last game?
That's right.
So I can see, I can see Mari getting to play. He needs to get himself fit, obviously, and he's still got to. I think he's still got to prove himself in the Premier League yet. He's not played enough, has he? But I think that's what will happen. Mark's asked the big question that everyone's asking: do we think Partey will start against City? We did sort of tap him at the beginning.
I do personally. I think
I'd love to see it. He may not. I don't think he will, but I'd love to see it. Obviously,
I honestly think he will.
I think he will actually. I don't think you buy a player you've been after for so long who's fit, and you don't play him straight away in a game.
He played
like
2 games for Ghana, didn't he?
Yeah, he's fit. He's clearly match fit, isn't he? He was playing for Atletico before. He's clearly match fit, isn't he? I don't think you buy a player like that who's that important not to play him straight away, not to throw him straight in. I mean, Man City bought that defender, didn't they, the other week? Put him straight in the team in their first game that they had a few days later. And I'll be surprised. The only reason why he won't play is if Arteta doesn't feel as though he quite understands the role he wants him to play. But I think he's an intelligent player, and I think he can do it. Yeah. So I'll be amazed if he doesn't start, put it that way. But I say with Arteta, you can never know what he's thinking, can you? But listening to the press conference today, the impression I got was that he is intending him to start. He didn't want to come out and say it because he doesn't want to give his team away yet, does he?
No.
But I personally think he will. I'd be quite surprised if he doesn't, actually. So,
Sam, Sam, you know I love you, mate. I'm really glad you're watching, but that comment is really disappointing me. It's stupid. Thanks. I don't like that comment at all.
Yeah, it's not really
not good.
I think it's about that anyway, is it? I mean, we have got to look after all our players in the best way that we can, and you know, some of them need different things, don't they? I suppose at different times. But yeah, we'll maybe brush over that a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, no, I'm doing a show on Sunday about mental health with chappers because it's. I haven't sort of hidden the fact that I've been struggling for quite some time, and so if anyone that's watching or listening back to this or watching it back wants to sort of get involved with it on Sunday evening, then please do, because it's a thing that's close to my heart, and I think it's got. If I can just, I know it's a really cheesy line to say, but honestly, if I can just help one person, I'll be quite happy with that, because there's a lot I've been through, and I think it's a horrible, debilitating condition, which I'm desperate to get over, and hope I will one day. But it's you can't make fun of things like that. You can't. It's just not a nice thing to do. We don't know. We're only sort of guessing that that's the situation with him. But when you're his age, and you have lost a parent, but you've also been suddenly your world's turned upside down. You've moved to a different country where you can't even speak the language, and you've got no close friends and family around you. Then it's going to be really tough. So but he is homegrown because we registered him. At the end of this season, he'd be classed as homegrown. You're right, because we registered him when we signed him before we sent him off on loan back to St Etienne, Saliba. So that was clever. We registered him as our player before, so we got a bit of a season head start on him being homegrown.
Yeah, so I mean, as who was it that just I saw a comment? It was Dave actually, wasn't it? Who said it won't be till next year because, like you said, we've got a year now. Yeah,
absolutely. Right. I've got that wrong. Yeah, but we got the end of this season. Then he will be classed as homegrown. You're right.
Yeah. So Mark, he's got a sneaky feeling that it might be Ceballos and Xhaka in the middle, but I'll say I think Partey will start actually, and I hope he does because I'm excited about seeing what he can bring to the team. And, you know, after the way Gabriel started his Arsenal career, let's hope that Thomas Partey can have a similar influence on Saturday. I don't see any reason why he can't. I mean, I'd say I'm really excited about him. And I say I just can't. I don't think you buy a player like that and they're fit and ready to go and not play him. I mean, he's already said he's fit and wants to play. So to me, you've got to play him, haven't you? It'd be crazy not to. But I'll tell you.
He will be so motivated in that first game against Man City.
Yeah, of course he will.
Honestly, the thing is, of course he's match fit because he's just played twice for Ghana. So I would definitely.
Plus, as well, he'll be a little bit of an unknown quantity to Man City because they won't really know how he's going to fit into the team and what role he's going to play. When he's played 2 or 3 games, everyone will think, that's what Partey does. But at the moment, it's almost like everyone knows what he can do, but they don't know what he can do for Arsenal because he's never played for us before. So in a way, it's a massive advantage, I think, for him to play for that reason, because it's an unknown quantity in a sense, and that's going to go in our favour as well. And I think Arteta will use everything he can possibly use to get the result that we need on Saturday. And I think he'll start, but I say you can never read Arteta's mind, can you? So
that's exactly the team he's picked once, never got close to it.
No,
it's exactly
I've never
why.
got one right yet. No,
it's exactly why I would shock Man City and play a 4-3-3 and really go at them, because that's the last thing they'll be expecting us to do. All the big teams we've played, the three at the back, 3-4-3, and they will be expecting that all week, and that's what they'll be training for. So that's why I've got a sneaky suspicion that we might just be a bit more attacking than we think this weekend. But I hope I'm right, but we'll see.
I think that Partey, apart from all his other attributes, I mean, he looks fantastic. I think he could be the spark that gets Pepe playing.
Yeah, I do.
I really do.
Very much so. Very much so. Because he
giving the ball quickly to his feet or just in front of him and let him run onto it. I think he will draw the midfielders out, Partey, and make spaces for Pepe. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Mark, I wouldn't drop out either of them. I would have Xhaka, Ceballos, and Partey in midfield personally. But I
think that'll be the evolution of the midfield. I'm not sure whether we'll go straight into that now, having not played it in any of the previous games for months now. And
just hope I'm being hopeful
with the system. And I think if he's gonna, I think he'll play Xhaka and Partey as a partnership. Personally,
I disagree. I think he'll be Ceballos and Partey, because the last two games, Xhaka didn't start one, and he came on as a sub on the other one, didn't he? Or got subbed. Can't remember now.
He got subbed off in one game, didn't he?
He didn't play the one before.
In the Carabao Cup game, he didn't play, did he? But that's because it was the Carabao Cup. So,
but he didn't play in the Carabao Cup, but he still got booked.
That's how late his tackle was.
Yeah.
But I think that it'll be Ceballos and Partey. I think we'll be surprised.
I'd like to see that, but I'm not sure that happens. That's what I would say.
Be so. I mean, I said this ages ago, didn't I? You must remember. I said the Ceballos and Partey would be absolutely lovely as a partnership, because they'll complement each other so well, and they're both press resistant, great on the ball, great sort of in tight spaces as well. I think they'd be perfect partnership if we're going to go down that route and play a double pivot. Personally, that's what I think. Anyway, they complement each other so well.
I mean, Jonathan said about El Neni possibly playing the right of the back three. I mean, he's played there before.
I forgot about him completely when we're doing
I must admit that's a good point, because he's played in the centre of defence before, hasn't he, El Neni? And that's a possibility. Again, you see that would be something that you could see Arteta throwing in, something like that, couldn't you? As a surprise, because he tends to do it sometimes. So that's a good point actually from Jonathan there, because I hadn't really thought about that either.
It's a good shout, but you can't forget Chambers though as well. And
he's not fit, is he? He's not fit to play yet.
He's back in full training. It's not going to be long. No, I'm not talking about this weekend.
Right,
But don't forget, he was being played every week under Arteta, and every game before he got injured.
I think
it was a very, very short span of time. I know, but he was the first one, in the back four, and he was playing very, very well. Don't forget, wasn't he? And
in a bad team, he was our best defender.
Yeah, he was excellent. And I think in the
back, as a right back as well, he played well, didn't he? As a right back,
remember that cross he did on the volley. He got 2 or 3 assists in one game. I can't remember who it was against now. And he crossed it in on the volley, and it was
Standard Liège, wasn't it? Was it Standard Liège in the?
It might have been, yeah, or unless it was Nottingham Forest. It was one of those cup games, but it was brilliant.
Actually, it might have been Nottingham Forest, yeah.
Yeah, but he was playing ever so well. But I think because of his youth and his size, he's good on the ball. I think he's an Arteta player in the right of the back three. So I think once he is properly match fit, I think we're going to start seeing quite a lot more of him.
Yeah, I think Holding's on sort of shaky ground, isn't he? Because I don't think he's been playing particularly well, and he's probably he's been the weak link, hasn't he? So I think when Chambers is fit and ready to play, I can definitely see him coming in for Holding, definitely, because I feel as though Holding, hasn't quite been up to the standards I think that the others have been in the defensive area. Certainly this season, even towards the end of last season, I thought the same actually.
I stand by the fact that he's a really good defender and he's starting to get his old form back now. But in the system we're playing, it just doesn't suit him at all. If he went to somewhere like Southampton or a club, of that ilk, I think he'd be great, in the middle of a back four. But he just doesn't suit the style that we've been playing lately, and I don't think he will, unfortunately. But I really like him, and I will always stand by the fact that I do like him as a really good defender, but not for us, unfortunately. And I hate saying that. I really do.
No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think that the system isn't the right system for him, and that's why I think he's looked so shaky because he just finds it difficult to play in that role. And I think Callum Chambers will probably find that a lot more easier for him. So I can see that definitely happening. I say not for a few weeks yet because I don't think he's quite ready, Chambers, to play. And we've got some tough games. I don't think you'll throw him straight back into them. He might play the Europa League games, maybe one or two of them coming up. Possibly to get him.
I'm glad though that Holding's had a chance to come back into the team, have a run of games, and start getting his form back and showing people that he's actually a good defender. But because he is a good defender. But he's just not the right fit, unfortunately. I honestly think that Chambers will definitely play a big role in the team. I really do.
Yeah, no, I can see that. As long as he can get some players who have an injury like that. I mean, obviously Holding had a bad injury. Bellerin did as well, and it took them a long time. In fact, like we said, Holding maybe hasn't quite even got back to his best yet, and Bellerin's only just really starting to, isn't he? So maybe Chambers is going to take a long time to get anywhere near the sort of form he was showing. Obviously, before the injury, when he was, it might take him a long time yet. We don't know.
It might do, but you're only going to get there by playing, aren't you? So he's going to have to be. I don't know, maybe give him 45 minutes for a few games, or half an hour at least, and just sort of ease him back in that way. But I'd rather have him back. I mean, no one. I mean, I respect him completely, and I like the guy. But Mustafi has done ever so well under Arteta. But I don't want to. I'm sorry, but I will never change my mind. I would rather have Chambers than Mustafi long term because. I just physically cannot trust the guy because I know that at some point he will have a fantastic game and then he will just do that one thing where we think, oh God, you haven't even got to look at the screen. You hear a groan and you know what's happened if he's on the pitch, and I just can't get over that, unfortunately. But I do respect the guy massively, the way he's overcome all the hate and the way he came back into form, and he played some great games, and he's got so many good qualities. But I still just don't. I mean, that Spurs game at the end of last season, it was just.
Oh, he had a 20-minute spell, didn't he? Oh,
honestly,
he just lost it completely, didn't he?
Completely.
One stage, he threw himself head first with his arms down by his side and tackled someone with his head. In that Spurs game, I'm sure it's a Spurs game. I just think what
it was. He lost it.
I mean, it was a shame because, I mean, funny enough, that Spurs game, I remember at the time thinking that he played a lot of football and I think he was maybe just fatigued. And then the very next game was a semi-final against Man City when he got injured. It was a muscle injury, so maybe it just caught up with him in a number of games that he had, perhaps. But he was playing well before that, wasn't he? And I agree with Dave. I think Arteta does like him, and I think Arteta does respect him. And I can see Mustafi getting some games, certainly in the Europa League to start with, and he might even come back into the Premier League team at some point. I do feel that's at the moment in time that's our final position to really nail down, isn't it? That right-sided centre back out of the three. That's the one position so far. I mean, you can see Gabriel, he played there, didn't he? Maybe Gabriel, and then if Tierney's fit, you could play Tierney on the left or Mari. So maybe we could compensate that way. But at the moment, that seems to be the position where we're a little bit slightly. That's a weak little link at the minute. I think perhaps if we've got one,
I would so much rather. I really would. I would so much rather have Chambers there than Mustafi. I just think it. Although Chambers isn't. Incredible world class. I still trust him more than Mustafi. But I know that Arteta likes Mustafi, but I also know that Arteta likes Chambers because don't forget they were teammates before as well. Chambers and Arteta, weren't they?
I like Mark's team, but he seems to like Ceballos so much he's put him in twice. So one Ceballos is good, but two Ceballos is even better. It seems Arteta likes players who knows their pros and cons, even if the cons are Mustafi's. Well, I think that's a little bit harsh, maybe. Long term, I'm not convinced Bellerin and Cedric are the answer. Well, no, maybe not long term. I think, to be fair to Bellerin, I do think he's come back well from his injury in this season. I think he's been playing well, and I think he's getting back towards his best. I'm not saying he's quite there yet. I still think he's got a little more to do, but I do think he's coming back to his best, Bellerin. And
he's definitely improving. No doubt about it.
He's on his way back. I think he's had a difficult time with his injury, and I think he's had a difficult time getting back. I think he lost a little bit of pace and he's had to adapt his game slightly, but I do feel as though he's definitely on the way back, and I'll definitely give Bellerin a little bit more time, because I do feel as though he's doing a good job at the minute, and I want to see him continue to progress. Cedric, I don't think we've seen enough of him yet, actually. I'd like to see him play a bit more.
I don't get the hate for Cedric. I just do not get it.
No, I don't get the hate for him. I just don't think he's decent.
I think he's decent.
I do. And again, going back to that Nketiah point I made earlier, who are you going to get in that's better than Cedric as a backup right back? An international player who's won the Euros alongside Cristiano Ronaldo on the right hand side. We paid £1 million for him, and a 60 grand a week he's on. And what's the problem? I don't get the fact that there's an issue there. Even if we were to sell him, we're going to get money back on him. We could sell him in January, or we could sell him in the summer, and we'll make money for Cedric because he's a good player.
He's a good backup. He's a very good backup.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see the issue with.
Yeah.
I really don't see what the hate is for Cedric.
No,
he gets stiff all the
played
time.
enough yet for me, but I like what I've seen of him. Certainly, I think he can do a job when he's needed, definitely, and I've got no problem with him. I just don't feel as though he's played quite enough yet. So we just have to
exactly. Well, I'm not saying no one is saying he should start, and no one thinks he's ever going to be a first choice. But I think as a second choice backup, I can't see the issue. Personally, I agree. Yeah, I don't see. I think he's a decent enough squad player, and he's certainly done okay when he's played. He's just not played enough. I mean, Mark said there he meant Xhaka instead of the two Ceballos. So one Ceballos and one Xhaka.
I'd rather two Ceballos than Xhaka in.
I weren't having a go at you, Jonathan Porter, for the comment either. It was just something. I think. Loads of different podcasts that are really just keep going on and on about the Cedric signing as if it was the worst thing we've ever done. And I don't get it personally. So,
no, I think he needs more time before we can actually judge exactly how good or not he is. But so far, what he's done okay, hasn't he? He's been a decent enough player. I don't have any issues with him. He's not played enough, really. So we'll see how that might develop. But I say certainly with Bellerin, I definitely would want Bellerin to get more time and to keep improving, because I think he has done. I think he's played well this season actually so far, and I want to see that carry on, because I think he's been a good player for Arsenal over the years, hasn't he? He's a loyal player as well, and
he's certainly showing signs of getting back to his absolute best to me.
He is, no, he definitely is. Jonathan likes them to be better defensively, the fullbacks. The assault from Alonso, I remember that. Yeah, when
Chelsea, goal.
Yeah, that goal that Alonso scored. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but
of course.
But I think it's his injury that I think the most recent injury that he's maybe still struggling a little bit with. But I think he's getting back, and definitely
fullbacks just aren't defensive anymore, are they? I mean,
no, they're basically wingers now, aren't they? They're basically taking on the position of a winger. They've just got to do a little bit more tracking back than maybe wingers used to traditionally.
I mean, Terence Trent D'Arby is horrendous defensively.
I think he is. Yeah,
he's one of the best crossers of the ball there is, and he's incredible as an attacking player. But defensively, he's very OP.
I've always said that. I think defensively you can get at him. Back going forward, he's brilliant, isn't he? His delivery is fantastic, and that's what fullbacks are now. That's a modern fullback, isn't it? And that's what I mean, you look at Saka. That's why Saka's quite good when he plays as a left wing back, because he's good going forward. He's got a good delivery, but he's also actually, I think, he's a good defender as well. He can
he's not
defend
bad
as
at
well,
all.
can't he? And Tierney's kind of got it all as well, hasn't he? Tierney's a good defender, and he's also got the quality going forward as well, hasn't he? So, you know,
Absolutely.
that's why he'd be a massive miss on Saturday if he can't play. But I still think he will, actually. I think that will get sorted, and I think he'll be able to play. I think they'll do a test on him probably tomorrow. As long as he tests negative, I think he'll be fine to play.
You can't stop him, I don't think. I really don't think you can. He doesn't fall under the Scottish jurisdiction anymore. So, what's the problem?
I've heard a rumour that they will allow him to play Scotland if they get independence from the UK.
they're holding him with a bag over his head, and they're going to put a video out soon.
If we get him independence, you said Sturgeon, he can play on Saturday. Don't know how true it is.
No, I think that's a good deal. I'd vote for it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Just get rid of him. Yeah, that Nicola Sturgeon, is it? Yeah, I cannot stand that woman. Just get rid of her. Just get her what she wants, and just tell her to fuck off.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, though, she seems to be having too much influence on us at the minute.
I know.
And it's like, why are we listening to her? Seriously, I mean,
I've got nothing against the Scottish people. Just by the way.
I'm with you. I think she's influencing too much of what's going on in this country when it's not relevant. You know, Scotland's a different country to us. They've got different issues to worry about. And yeah, fair enough. She can do what she wants to with her country. That's fine. But we shouldn't be listening to what she's doing and taking it on board that we have to follow suit. You know, she shut all the pubs, and now we want to shut all our pubs. It's like, come on, you know.
I mean, seriously, she needs to. I mean, she's going on and on and on and on about another referendum for Brexit and all that sort of stuff. She's doing my head in. I mean, I've muted all those words and on Twitter and everything, so I don't get any, you know. Get it on my timeline anymore.
What have I started?
Like a broken record
about her. What have I
started? You've opened. You've poked the bear there,
gentlemen. Sorry,
horrendous woman. Listening. Horrendous woman. She ain't happy unless she's moaning about something. moan.
But as long as she allows Kieran Tierney to play, we'll like her.
Exactly. She'd be my favourite.
Nothing to do with her. Yeah.
And I think Jonathan's got a good point there. She's power hungry. I think that's quite clear. But I don't think she's the only one, unfortunately.
No,
that's power hungry. But anyway, that's probably another show for another time, and we can debate that.
I won't be part of that one. Don't invite me on that one. I'll just go on a 12-hour rant.
Yeah, no, I probably would as well. So we'd have to make a whole day of it, probably.
Yeah, well, we can do it for charity. Do the longest podcast of all time.
Maybe do a charity. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
The longest podcast of all time.
24-hour show, just going on about the whole
rant,
current situation in the world.
I'd be up for that. Actually, I'd be quite up for that. To be perfect,
I probably would actually. Yeah, it would go quite quick as well, wouldn't it? In actual fact,
would. Yeah.
Just have a little break every now and again for something to eat and a cup of tea and that, and be fine.
Or just a tag team rage.
Yeah,
I quite enjoy that. Yeah,
Mel would be there with his stick, just poking everybody. He'd be the coach.
Yeah, exactly.
To keep going into higher performance.
I could do a good 3 or 4 hours on Emile Smith Rowe, couldn't I?
You probably could actually. Yeah, that would be quite good. That's a show on its own, isn't it?
Yeah.
Andrew talks out Emile Smith Rowe. There you go. That's a 4-hour show there, right there and then.
Richard, I'm prepared to do a marathon as long as you give me the Horlicks to drink after 8 o'clock, mate. All right.
After
a few hours.
The chocolatey Horlicks, that's top.
Oh, I've never had that. Is it any good?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Never had that.
Chocolate Horlicks. Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, there you go. We're all sorted now then. Melbourne will be happy with his chocolate Horlicks and we're away.
Yeah, that sounds nice. That could be a deal breaker, that can. Lovely.
Yeah,
definitely. If you haven't got any in the cupboard, put 1 spoonful of hot chocolate in your Horlicks and mix it up. That's just as good.
All right.
There you go. You see, you get all kinds of things on this show. You get tips about cookery.
All tips, yeah. Cookery. We'll have a cookery hour soon, won't we?
We cover everything on here. Don't worry about that. It's not just football we talk about.
Tonight we cook cheese on toast.
We cover all the important issues in the world as well. Yeah. So everything gets covered. So make sure you subscribe to the channel because you don't want to miss out on none of this. the important things in the
Get
world.
to 500 subscribers, I'll show everyone how to make the perfect omelette.
Wow, there you go. Emil Smith.
The other way around, isn't it?
Actually,
Yeah, I'm trying to get the gig as his new agent because I'll get him into Barcelona. I would.
yeah, well, I'm sure you would.
Yeah, I would.
And Dave says, it'll be interesting about Tommy when he's talking about. Well, the time Andy was talking about him,
I've covered that last week. I covered that, didn't I? There's no issue there. No issue.
No, definitely not. I don't think we should pursue any more Smith Rowe talk. I mean, I think that should be it for now. I mean, I say we've covered pretty much everything, and we've covered stuff we didn't even need to cover, which was good, interesting stuff. Just obviously, thanks for you guys for joining me, and of course Mike as well, who had to shoot off a bit earlier to do another show. Melvin, where can people find you on social media and stuff like that?
I'm basically mainly on Twitter. On Melvin, the only way is Arsenal Marks. I'm on Facebook, but don't use it as much as Twitter.
Okay, fantastic. And obviously, Andrew, yourself, what about your obviously you got your channel as well, haven't you?
Yeah, after subscribing to this great channel, please go over to mine and give mine a subscribe as well and like a few videos. Got some good stuff on there. I'm going to start doing up some more Mesut Island discs soon as well, which is quite exciting. I do enjoy that show.
That's great, that show. Yeah. Seriously, that's brilliant.
From Dial Square to Where
is good.
YouTube channel, and at From Dial Square on Twitter. And thank you very much, Melvin. Yeah, it's a really good show, if I say so myself. I really enjoyed that, and got some couple more people lined up for it. So yeah, it's really, really good.
Good, excellent.
Thank you for having me on again. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
No, it's
thank you, Richard.
I love chatting to you two guys. I say Mike as well, who obviously was here earlier. Check out his channel as well because he's got some good stuff. He does some great stuff on the game as well, doesn't he? The reports afterwards and stuff like that as well, which is
really good.
Which are really good. So definitely check that out as well. Obviously, thanks to everyone in the chat as well. There's been some great stuff on there, particularly early on as well. We had our Man City fan Michael on as well, which was good, and a few other people as well, which some new people.
Started to be all right after I was a bit sarky to him. I think he's come back and he was all right then in the end, wasn't he?
No, I was going to say about Arsene Wenger, which is good. So we've had a few of the usual people in, haven't we? Like Mark and Nitesh and Sam.
To be fair, I really like it when we've got fans of other clubs joining in. I think it's great. I do. I really encourage it.
It is good. I mean, before the West Ham game a couple of weeks ago, I was trying to get a West Ham fan to come on, but I couldn't get one to come on actually. So it'd be something I might look at as the season goes on to try and get the team we're playing next to get maybe one of their fans to come on. So we'll see if we can do that. I mean, I've had a Leeds fan who was on earlier who said he'd be quite happy to come on. So maybe when we play Leeds, and maybe get him on, and we can have a bit of a chat about Leeds as well, which would be good because obviously they've had a great start to the season, haven't they?
They're the only team I'm actually fearing coming up against, if I'm honest. More so than Liverpool and Man City.
I mean, I wouldn't say I fear them, but I think they'd be a good test for us the way that they play. And DW
cheers,
is good.
Thank you very much, mate.
And Jonathan also recommends the Mesut Island disc show as well, which it is a good show, so everyone needs to get onto that. I say thanks to Dave as well for watching. And I say to everybody else in the chat as well, it's been great. It's been a great show again tonight. So thanks to everyone who's watched it was on Facebook for the first time as well. So we did get a few new people watching from there. I'll be putting it on Facebook regularly now, which will be good. I say thanks for you guys for joining me, and I say to Mike as well, who unfortunately had to shoot off to do his own thing as well. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Please give the video the thumbs up as well. I've got some great stuff coming up. I'll be covering the Man City game on Saturday as well. Some stuff at half time and full time, and I'll do a full review on Saturday as well. And Monday evening as well, I've got a former Arsenal player joining me.
Just mute yourself for future reference when you blow your nose, Melvin.
Melvin needs to self-isolate now for the next 3 months.
No, it makes me feel a bit sick. Mind you, I was listening. Oh my God, I was listening to. I'm not going to mention the name of it. It's not very fair, but I was listening to this one podcast, and this, when you got a greenie in your throat and you go through your nose and you make that horrible noise, you go like that.
Yeah.
he did it live in the middle of his show, and
Like you just did,
you could hear
live
him
on the
like
show.
you could hear him like chew. No, I didn't. No, he did it.
You just did it there.
And you could hear him chewing it. It's like, sorry about that.
Shut up.
And then
don't.
I swear on my life. And then the very next episode, I thought I'll give him another try, and he did it again. And I just thought, oh my God, that is just so it made me feel physically sick, and I can hear it now. And I'm just like, I've blocked it. I've blocked everything.
Any photographs, have you?
I'm never going to listen to that podcast ever again because it just put me off for life.
No, well, it's not the best recommendation. I have to be honest.
No, it's horrible. Absolutely.
So this is why people need to watch our channel, because we don't entertain all that kind of carry on, do we? Here.
Oh no.
We might sneeze once in a while, but you know.
No, but sneezing's fine. Apparently, sneezing's safe anyway. It's not sneezing we have to worry about, so you're fine.
Good.
We don't need to self-isolate because you sneeze, so we're all right.
I don't think you can catch it virtually anyway. So.
I think you probably can. Some of the stuff you hear, you can probably catch it from.
Yeah, they're probably Nicola Sturgeon probably thinks you can.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So also, I do recommend this book for everybody. The Arsene Wenger book. Definitely get it and read it because it's going to be. I'm on chapter 4, just starting chapter 4. Hopefully, I'll finish it by the weekend, and I'll let everyone know how good it is. But I've enjoyed it so far. Definitely get it because it's great, and Arsene Wenger's great, and we all love him really, even though some people don't want to admit that they do because it would be backtracking on the last 10 years.
Respect, come on, big respect.
Exactly.
Where's the statue? Come on, Arsenal. I mean, seriously, come on.
We need one. We do need a statue, don't we?
So I think you should have a statue of him and George Graham standing next to each other.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, I certainly feel Arsene Wenger deserves a statue just for the influence he's had on the club. And DWTT is asking you, Melvin, if you're on YouTube, but you're not.
Yeah, he's on our channels all the time.
I haven't got my own channel.
DWTT. He's on our channels all the time as guests, aren't you, Melv?
I'm guest. I'm the super sub.
Absolutely, yeah. You're the podcast whore.
Yeah. Well, you don't need your own channel if you keep appearing on everyone else's, do you? I suppose that's
exactly. Yeah, we do all the work. Melvin gets all the credit.
Yeah, that's right.
And he gets people asking him if he's got a channel. You see, that's what happens. You build a fan base without even having a channel.
Just quickly before we sign off, just one more quick mention about the show coming up on Sunday, because it's quite important to me. If we can get as many people watching and joining in as possible, I'll be really grateful. Going to be like a show. I know on mental health on Sunday evening at 8 o'clock. Me and Chappers, but anyone else is welcome to join in. Anyone wants to come on and just discuss any points at all about it, don't be shy. Come on, it does help, and just drop me a DM and we can get it organised. But if you don't want to come on, just still come on and support the show and give it a watch. It's be really grateful. I'm going to be doing like a tweet about it soon, and if you can,
we'll put those straight on. Once it goes on, Andrew, we're sticking it on.
Retweet it round to everyone watching, listening. That'd be great. I'd really appreciate it because I'd like to get a good audience for that, and I think it's a really important subject, close to my heart.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I'll be quite happy to come on, Andrew, actually, because I've got some sort of experience of it as well.
You're very welcome.
Like that, which could be, might help people as well. So I'll be definitely interested in getting involved with that as well. So,
great,
we can speak that in the meantime anyway before Sunday.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I say I'll retweet that as well. But yeah, it's definitely going to be something worth getting involved in, especially I think at this time as well, with everything that's going on in the world. I think that mental health has almost been had to take a sidestep really, which is not really fair when you think about how much all this has impacted people's mental health over the last 6, 7, 8 months.
This is the thing. In this current climate, with everything that's going on in the world, it's worse than ever at the moment.
Yeah,
and people are suffering terribly. And there was a horrendous story on Twitter. It just made me. It actually nearly made me cry. Not long before I joined you, I just got in this evening, read it just before I came on, and it almost made me cry reading it. A terrible story about a mother of a 3-year-old little boy, and it just made me so sad. And everything that's going on at the moment, you do not know what's going on behind closed doors. It's horrendous, and we need to get this. We need to stop this stigma, and we need to start helping each other because it's so critical. So we need to get. Please join in, everyone listening, watching. Come and join us on Sunday evening, and let's get this conversation really properly started out in the open and get rid of any kind of stigma and help each other out at the moment. Because it's really important.
Definitely it is.
Well, I may not come on, but I'll definitely be watching.
Thank you.
If I might come on, I don't know, but
I'll definitely come on, because I say I've got experience of it myself, so I'm totally on your side with that, and I know how important it is, and I know how difficult it is to get help with it, really, because it is a stigma, isn't there? Still, unfortunately, there shouldn't be, but there is, and it is something that needs to change, and the only way it will change is if we have the conversation about it, really, and that's what needs to happen. And people need to understand that there's a lot of people out there in the same situation, and you're not alone, and that there's a lot of us out there that, if you share your issues with other people, it does help. That's the way it's always worked, isn't it? That's how group therapy's always worked, and it does. I've been in it plenty of times, so I understand how it works, and it's massively important. I say, especially at this time, at the moment, with the way things are and the way things are looking for the next few months as well. It's going to be really important that we don't suffer alone, anyone, and that you do reach out to people, because this is the time when it's more important than ever, I think.
Well, the Arsenal community always come good as well. The Arsenal community I can't say how much they've, everyone helped me out just on Twitter. It was really, it's actually really moving. And I'm not just saying that, it was really moving the swell of support that I got when I sort of shared, how I was feeling at that point on Twitter, and it was amazing. So we really come together as a group of fans when needed. So it's it's a great community, really is.
And I think all football fans, actually, from any club, I think at the end of the day, everybody's human. Everybody goes through the same kind of things in their life, and I think when you're a football fan, or whatever team you support, you have got a common bond, haven't you? I think, and yes, we have banter with other fans of other teams and this and the other. Of course we do, but ultimately we've got a lot of common ground, haven't we, between us all? And football. I think football has given me probably 90% of the people that I've ever known in my life have come from football. Not just Arsenal, but from other clubs as well. Most people that I know them as a result of football, one thing or another. And it is a great thing, really. And I think there's not many things that can do that and bring people together in the same way that football does. You've only got to see when England do well in the World Cup, for example, and stuff like that, how people just come together, don't they? And that football does that, and it's maybe one thing that's helped me.
Gareth Southgate, don't know.
Well, yeah, apart from him, yeah, obviously, but it's one thing that's helped me actually over the years, really, to get through a lot of sort of difficult times. Football kind of helped me, and I suppose it's good in that way, but also it kind of causes a lot of mental health issues as well when you lose too many games.
Only if the bloody government cancel it again.
Well, exactly, yeah, that's the other thing as well, yeah. But anyway, at the moment we're still in business, so. But no, definitely everybody get involved in that show on Sunday as well, because that's going to be really important, and it's a great thing as well. So it's big. I'm sure that'll be a big help to a lot of people as well, which is what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it? So so obviously make sure you do that as well. I mean, I've got some rather less important football stuff on this channel coming up over the weekend and stuff, and I am speaking to a former Arsenal player on Monday night as well. That'll be 8 o'clock on this channel. That'll be.
Can't wait to hear from Gus Caesar. I love the guy.
If only it was Gus Caesar. Well, maybe one day I'll have to see if I can track him down.
I won't be happy until I get Gus Caesar on the show.
Honestly. No, I'm going to keep trying.
Actually, Unit, didn't he? Yeah, I did once. Yeah, Unit.
I met him.
Probably Unit.
Right.
Yeah,
I think he ended up in Scotland, lower leagues in Scotland.
That's
right. He did play in Scotland. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can track him down and see if he'll come on, because that'd be quite good.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the moment, it's unfortunately it's not Gus Caesar, but it's someone even better. So I'm looking forward to that on Monday. So loads of stuff going on. So please subscribe to the channel. I say please subscribe to Andrew's channel as well, and obviously check out Melvin on Twitter, and I say Mike as well, because. I know he disappeared a long time ago now, but he does some great stuff as well, and he's definitely worth checking out. It's Mike McDonald. So, so I say thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for you guys as well. And we'll see you all again very soon. And of course, we always finish the same way, don't we? So as always, come on, you Gunners!
Come on, you Gunners!